voices. How are you?
Yeah.
You still here? Oh, you went home. Let's see this morning. Morning.
Who's scheduled today? Do you know? I think Road and Bridge is gonna be doing today and
I don't think what time.
That's my writing right there.
You're right.
I guess you're right. Well, all that's gonna change because my first one looked like a kid with crayons had been on it.
I'm fixing to, tweak a couple things. Send it to the judge and. Yeah, I wanted to get a copy of it. It's a lot, just a lot of stuff. Back.
You don't have to read everything.
Yes.
We are the pirates who don't do anything.
No, where's my stuff?
I trust you explicitly. You believe that?
Color today, almost. I said that from yesterday.
Damn it now. Don't bother us.
Yeah, we don't listen to anybody.
Well, doesn't bother us, but they're gonna go into court here and
Becomes white noise after a little while, doesn't it?
this is a knockdown drag out in their CPS case.
Oh,
It's yeah, it's bad. They 3 days now and CPS has not even finished presenting a case.
Yeah, this. Wow. Like that, it looks so fun.
Lord is me.
Like,
I'm just now beginning to find things that were given to me the first week I was here.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah. I was just like, okay, yeah, I'll sign that. What is it? What did I just sign?
You today, Susan? You here today?
no, I'm smart, smart.
She just came in here to warn us.
Today. I know she doesn't have on. That's probably.
Lord is me.
And on mine.
I know you're gonna fight for elections.
Yeah,
Anything to do with it?
well, actually, we're gonna give you, we've got different paperwork that we're gonna give you all today. We've gone back and redid the numbers. Contract people that we have contracted, so that just to make sure.
Second, I just told Kevin. And I don't know how it affects you, so I'll spit this out. It makes no sense to me to have early voting in Katy, Texas, when your election's in the city of Maine.
Well,
City of Rose Point, for some reason, why can't early voters should be in the name city?
well, it depends on what, the law, it just. Will depend on what the cities are going to do, but some cities will contract with us and move to November and be on our account. So they would affect that. And what we, if we want to do about it, really. There's no early budget, it's just an early period. So I have three, good. What we're thinking, that's not ready.
Yeah, earnings.
The allergies this year, worse than I've ever had. I've never had, hardly ever had allergies.
Yeah, it's pretty bad out there.
If I live in Van. Maybe say I'm not a diehard voter. I'm more like.
Could be Cliff.
If there's early voting in Mansfield.
Definitely,
Exactly.
definitely.
But usually, I mean, the cities do their own stuff. But for voting, if they let it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, Ernie and Kevin, they called me yesterday.
And we're gonna have we told them that we would take all those students. They're being. Also to.
But we're not talking about the top part of that.
I'm not. I don't.
I changed my top part. I changed that line 107, Judge.
Changed all my lines,
Did you really?
almost.
$5
Bob's
on
not gonna
that?
be here today. He has a funeral.
What he said. It's not his though.
No, it's not his.
The old fella that Judge Bass that swore me in last year, he passed away over the weekend. Yeah. He's a good guy.
Where's he
Judge
from?
Bass, Bill Bass, out of Ben Wheeler. He was on the Tyler Appeals Court, so he has a house in Tyler. So they lived normally in Tyler, but they used to have a family farm over in Ben Wheeler.
How old was he?
90?
All right, let me in, let me in, let me in.
Well,
Mm,
Jessica, no, she quit coming in here, didn't she? I kept going. Jessica. Reese.
What is today's agenda?
Road and Bridge.
We've already done two of them.
tag office, also with Misty said she was.
Yes,
And then your guys will talk today,
11:30.
11:30.
He
yes,
won't talk more than 2 hours.
we have TAC at 10 a.m. We have nobody scheduled for 10:30 and we have the constables at 11. So maybe if they get here earlier, we can move everything up, but we'll see what happens. All right, do what? Yes, they're gonna all, I don't think Tommy is gonna be here because he's got court to deal with. All right, wow, I didn't realize we were so late. I was so late. We will now our workshop session at 9:08 or 6 or 7. And we'll start with well, I've got Road and Bridge 1 up there. So
Can you look at that 107 line? It's up above, it's on the top. I changed all that after I listened to everybody else do theirs. I changed 107 to 93.6. It's actually an increase of 4,350. Because I'm probably gonna have 2 part-time employees and I may get a secretary over there.
so that's part of it, part of
Yes.
the increase in the part-time as far as.
Yeah, last year he had 89,250 in part-time and I just added a little bit to that. I don't think I'll use it all this year, but
Well, that I believe that part-time included office help or secretary. It was April.
yeah.
Let me, before we get started, I remember I said this last year. With the employees, and this is Brendan Barton's opinion. We can hire all the employees that we want to think that we get more done. But we're still stuck with a fixed amount of money. And my opinion is that you may get stuff done quicker if you have more employees, but you're gonna have all these employees on the payroll. And I'm not talking about, I'm talking about in general here. In the wintertime, it slows down, you've got more employees. In the summertime, I can understand where you need them. But like with me, I've got 9 employees, one's a foreman, so I've got 8 actually working and 1 supervising. And by July, we're out of money, and then we're just kind of, doing stuff here, doing stuff here, doing stuff here. So if we're hiring more employees to get more done or more done faster, we're still stuck with the same amount of money that we can only do so much, that employees are not gonna make you do anymore because there's only so much money. Does that make sense?
There's only so much money for material.
Right, if your material budget was
But
increased.
see, like in the fall, you're boom axing, you're doing ditches, you're prepping your roads for the next year. You should be prepping every road that you would spend any kind of expenditure on the surface of it. You should be doing subgrade. All that should be done before you ever step onto it. So you got your fuel cost in that, right? Like you got fuel cost and labor built into that.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like with my 8, I'll just use me for example. And you're right, in the winter, we have to do that. And we do that with our 8.
Right.
And why have more employees to get stuff done faster when we're stuck with a certain amount?
So but you have 9 now?
I have Tony. What Tony does, he's the foreman, is he basically drives the county, the roads, hey, this, and gets the plans on what we need to do. If he sees something, hey, we got this. He's basically a supervisor. And my other 8, either doing roads, mowing, boom axing, patching. I mean, we're getting everything done. But we can do it with 8. And
I agree with that. 8 qualified
8
men.
plus a point,
8
so 9
qualified.
total.
And in the summertime, 2 part-time.
Yeah, I have 1 part-time to help them mow.
You have twice as many tractors I've got.
And the equipment and that's another deal, is the equipment. If you hire 11 people, or I'll just go back to me, I only got so much equipment that, if I had 11 employees, man, what are you gonna do? So I mean, nothing for you to go on or whatever. I just think you can't always do more with more people when you have a limited budget.
That's right.
So-
Yeah, well, you have to, the raises y'all gave the last few years, it really demands that we have qualified people in those positions, and you're getting the most out of everybody.
And that's a key word, qualified. But I would I know everybody runs their own business their own way,
That's right.
but to me, I'd rather, instead of putting money in and hiring more employees, if able, bring it down to your materials, because then those employees can use that money for materials. My 10 cents.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that just to you, I'm just saying this as
You
a
ain't
whole.
bothering me none.
So as a whole.
We don't ever agree on anything, anyway.
That's true.
But we agree on that. Hey, we agree on that.
That's good. We're getting somewhere.
Okay, well then I don't agree.
Okay, that's just your nature.
Well, you're just a lawyer. You want to fight.
I'll speak for Bobby. I agree.
So I increased that to 93.6, which is an increase of $4,350 a year, and I will be close to that or a little under probably. And that's the only thing I changed on that top part.
So are you talking about 107 again
Yes, sir.
to 93.6?
Yeah, it was 89,250.
That's not much of an increase.
Yeah, well, I don't have. If I hire a secretary, it won't be but 20 hours a week.
Well, and I don't mean
It's an
to
if.
interrupt.
I'm gonna interrupt you
Yours.
twice. I'm waiting on Clip next. Go
Okay.
ahead.
All right, but what about using part-time employees during peak season?
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, I mean, like Mitch said, he has two. I have one, Jackie.
Mhm.
I have no, problems I mean, I think we need them because summertime is your busy part of the time. You've got mowing, you've got boom-axing, you've got roads, you've got patching, you got a lot to do in the summertime. So yes, you need that, but I don't think you do in the wintertime, me personally. My precinct doesn't.
Mhm.
I don't know how, the other threes work, but.
So,
You're right on that.
I would not want to be stuck with salaries that in the wintertime that we don't have to use, we have to use in the summertime. I'd rather that money go to material if we're able. And we also got to look at, it goes back to all of us. We're all doing this budget and we all know what that fund that general balance is. So we're going blind on what's coming in. But like Bobby wanted to go up that much, I don't think he can because he don't have that in his fund.
You don't have that
balance.
fund balance.
we got,
And I think we all gotta look at that.
Well, I think he just
Two.
says, well, I can ask. I
Right.
have to ask.
so what is, when you define winter months, December through February?
For me,
March?
for
November.
precinct 4, we start overlaying in May, and if it's a normal year, we're done at end of June. And after that, I mean, we're just going out there, doing what we can, but we have no more money for material to overlay roads. But I wouldn't say July to May, I would say September to April. Is a fair assumption.
So it's more than seasonal, September to when?
September to April, I think
Okay.
that's generous. I think it's longer than that, but
That's just the slow months, basically, is what it is.
So when your time changes, you have short days.
well, not for me.
Well, you do have short days though. You have shorter days on time changes. I mean, everybody does. So your daylight saving times, your winter months, you don't have very much. You can't run as much in the winter time as we do in the summertime. I understand what you're saying. You're on 8 hour days.
Yeah, 8 hour days, we can.
I don't know if she's committed or not. Well,
Are we through? You go on the cliff because I'm not gonna be able to get through.
go ahead.
Why not?
Because y'all rudely interrupted me. Not really rudely. Okay, go ahead.
You got the rest of your budget?
We got all day long.
You through?
Yeah.
Can I tell a little story?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
You get no respect. Okay,
All right, we're gonna shut
ahead.
up. All right, go Mitch.
So dropping on down to, you made the sheriff go one line by line. Are you gonna make me do that?
yeah,
Okay, I'm keeping office supplies at $1,000, even though it looks like. I mean, we're working off of, right now, at this moment, I've still got 64% of that, but if I have a secretary, I probably have to have more office supplies. So I'm gonna leave it like that. That's all right.
That's
I can
fine.
probably knock $5 off that. Anyways, fuel and lubricants, I dropped that from 100 since we got that new information to 90,000.
Okay,
But when it came to material, I went to 1.6. Which is an increase of 300,000.
1.6.
Yes.
Okay,
I'm keeping my uniforms at 8,500 because where's that?
y'all are all on the same service right now,
UniFirst.
Universe, yeah, okay.
Precinct 1 was, I don't know what Chad did. I remember it was all jacked up. He had some problems. I don't know who he's.
See, I've got 52% of it less. I probably don't even need 8,500. I'm not sure.
I think ours 50. I think mine's 5,500.
I've still got 52% and we only got a quarter left, right? So I could probably drop that to 75. Then we drop it to 75.
Are you UniFirst?
Would it be beneficial for since each of y'all have basically the same number of employees to have the same kind of budget on that?
I'm telling you right now, Brandon and I, bet we don't do anything the same in the.
Okay.
I mean, it's like different. We're different on that.
All right, so
We
what
do
do you
agree
go?
every now and then, though.
All right, what did you say? You're gonna drop it to?
I'll drop it to 7,500.
7,500, okay.
Shop supplies. I think next year will be better than it was this year, so I'm gonna I dropped it to 6,000, which is a drop of $500. I don't have anything in contract services. Although next year I probably will. I just don't know this year. I just don't know this year, because I'm thinking about doing in-house seal coating. Because I have the machines to do it, so. And contract services, the only other thing would be tree removal. But I think I could probably take that out of my material budget if I had to.
Okay.
In training, I increased that $2,000 just because I inherited a bunch of men that don't have CDL license. We are driving Tonka toys for dump trucks right now. And I'd like to graduate from Tonka toys to, something a little bigger.
What's the amount? 4,500, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, sir. I left electricity the same and gas the same. And I could probably drop that a little bit, that gas. I mean, I could probably drop it. I'm gonna leave it the same this year.
You 670 in 24.
Yeah, what happens is that, well, I know here in the courthouse, we got 3 months where we have gas expense for the boiler. And then after that, we have
Yeah,
nothing. I
nothing.
don't know, if it's running heaters or is it
It's a
running water
heater. It's
heaters?
heater. It's a heater.
Yeah.
We don't have hot water over there. We don't.
Jeez.
But cause you're always in hot water, right?
We don't have to have hot water over there because y'all keep me in hot water. Did I say that? Anyways,
You got a well out there.
building grounds maintenance, repair and maintenance of building grounds, 5,000. I left that the same. I've got some problems with my truck barn. I'm gonna have to address some rotten wood around the fascia of it.
Okay, cause the numbers on the screen are not the same as what you're reading out. It's,
I know.
That's right, he's modified them
oh, it's the
as
modified.
we've gone
Okay.
along.
Yeah, you have to be awake, Judge. I mean, it's early, but you gotta wake up.
Well, I recognize they're not the same.
There you
Yeah,
go.
you did. There you go. That's pretty sure. Okay. I told you I modified it. My other one looked like had Crayolas all over it, so I threw it away and started over.
Okay,
All right, where are we at?
repair maintenance machinery, 451.
Left it the same,
And
50.
the bottom line, I can't see.
Tires and tubes I dropped it 2,000 because I put new tires on a bunch of stuff already.
Okay,
Machinery rental, that's 461.
Go get my computer. I can't. Go.
You see 461 in there? There you go.
yeah. Machinery rental.
Yeah, I put 15,000 in it this year because I had to rent a drum roller. But I knocked it down to 10,000. I don't know what I put in that first one.
So, but
What have I got on that?
you got
Yeah.
10,000
Yeah.
on that. You dropped it 5 on this one, so.
Yeah. So it's 10,000.
So
Yeah.
how much did the drum roller set
It's
you back?
it's $5,000 a month.
And you needed a month? Is
I
it
need
partial
3 months.
month?
I'm putting base down on all my roads.
Yeah,
So I dropped it to 10,000. I'm probably gonna buy one next year.
okay. Well, I would recommend you leave it there at 15. Until you get one. But you don't have to.
I just want to argue. I'm gonna keep it at 10.
Okay.
All right. So all the bonding, am I going to be bonded again?
No,
621.
no.
So I didn't take that off, but I didn't know.
Commissioners is a 4-year bond.
621, I left it the same. Everything else is the same. The 535. Let's see, what is that? 571. I put $30,000 in there this year because I needed a dump truck and a few other little things. I'm moving that to 100,000 because I'm probably gonna buy a drum roller, a used one probably, and
So it's still 100,000.
yeah, I'm gonna leave it at 100,000.
What's the drum roller cost?
I knew they're over 100,000, but I can buy the one I'm renting right now for probably 80.
Okay,
I'm not gonna buy the one I'm renting, I don't think. I can find a good used one probably for 50 or between 50 and 70,
okay,
and I may buy another dump truck. Because the little trucks that we have, they're just not feasible for what we do normally on a day-to-day basis. They're part of that fleet that I got that I can't get rid of.
okay. And that's what the lease equipment is. That's your enterprise.
Correct.
That includes all of your
Patch
Patch
truck,
trucks.
dump truck,
and two dump trucks, right?
two pickups, 4 or 5 patch trucks and 2 dump trucks. I think it's 5 patch trucks.
You're trying to
Now,
reduce that, aren't you?
I'm gonna try to buy
You're
one
trying
of
to
those, I'm gonna try to
something
buy
and
one of those trucks this year.
You're
Yeah.
trying to eliminate this.
See, I mean, I could break the lease, but it would cost me a little bit of money, and then I'd have to replace all that.
Yeah,
And I can't do it all.
but you're trying to do it like one at a time.
Yeah. So. Been fun.
so you have a mechanic's truck too, right?
I got one of those too, yeah.
That is part of that lease.
It is.
So isn't the lease more than 200K?
No, it's 184 a year. It's $1,400 a month, I think. 14,000 a month. Somewhere in that neighborhood.
Okay. And what's the payments on equipment? Or I'm sorry, I'll let you get there. Is it something you've already bought?
What's that one? What are you talking about?
Equipment payments for 580?
You can remove that. I did on this copy. It was on last year's. I wasn't sure what the payment was. I think it was on that loader. It was a final payment of something that he bought. I think it was a loader.
Okay.
So I don't need that anymore.
All right.
And everything else stays the same. Including the collection station. Which only increased mine a couple $100,000 probably, actually. I'd be surprised if I get to 1.6. For material. So hoping I get some of that.
Okay.
And, I do agree with that, like. My former budget was heavy on manpower and short on material. And equipment. I think most of my equipment that I'm missing was sold last year. So, and then I'm stuck with this lease, and I was given an option. I came into court one day and I was given an option of to keep the lease equipment or the old equipment. But I wasn't given an option to go look at it to make the evaluation. Keith pretty much pressed me to make a decision that day. So I stuck with the lease. In hindsight now, I don't know if I did that. I just didn't get a chance to go look at anything.
You're stuck in a rock and a hard spot.
Yeah, and I think,
you're gonna have to buy.
and just for a public record, I think that was wrong to make me make a decision. And the reason I was forced into it is because they said they didn't want to insure all those other pieces of equipment, but they could have parked them down in the yard and given the keys to the auditor. You wouldn't have to have done that, but I'm not mad about it anymore.
Clearly.
I'm not mad about it anymore. I just have a very strong opinion about it. But anyways, that's my budget. I don't have the exact amount of what that changed, but I think it increased over 250,000, but that's mostly, I cut back on certain things and added 300,000 on material, so. And I know that we all have to tighten up because we got a lot of things in front of us, but I need The reason my material, if you want the honest God truth about the material thing is I've added some new material that we don't normally use. And it's gonna be stabilization agent in the road bed, so I'm gonna need a little bit more money for that.
Well, I agree. I think the money should go to the material and not. You said you wanted 2 more employees and the secretary. I think you're better off putting the money in material than you are.
I'm not adding anything on my part-time though. I'm only adding $4,000 on my part-time. And the judge, I think the judge mentioned to me that I was heavier than y'all, everybody else on people. I don't know what that's gonna come to, but some point, you know. Things are hard.
Yeah, you're 896, 2 is 781, 3 is 782, 4 is 742. Yeah, you're at $100,000,
Doesn't matter about those numbers.
Two employees, about.
Can you provide me a copy of what we just discussed?
I can.
Well, we made changes to what we just discussed too, but I'll follow up. I did take notes, so. All right. Are we done with precinct 1? Did you have anything else you would like to,
Elucidate.
That's it.
okay? I don't want to give you all the time that you need.
What's got into y'all?
But we're a gentler, kinder group.
All right, we're going to precinct 2 now. And now Mitch will come back and say, I wasn't
Oh,
done.
one other thing.
All right. Precinct 2, I didn't put anything in there for salaries. I'm not gonna change any personnel numbers, et cetera, for this year. So however we decide to come down on those numbers, will just be how we do that. On office supplies, I did, originally, I had asked for a little bit more, but I'm back that down, back to 400 where it was last year. Fuel and lubricants, based on this budget here, we've only used 43%. So I did not seek an increase related to fuel and lubricants. And then once we got in here, determined that fuel and lubricants, if we get a 20% reduction, or it's not really a 20%
No.
reduction, it's 20 cents on the gallon. So I just left that where it's at. We're at 43% on fuel and lubricants based on the percentage on the date we did this budget worksheet. So we have plenty of extra there. Now on my road and bridge materials, left it at 1.8 million. We have open POs right now. We've used about 50% of our road and bridge material budget. We have open POs that will change the 37%. Those are not closed POs. So on our numbers here, it's going to show that we have 37, we've only used 37% of the budget, but that's not exactly true because we have rather large POs sitting out there right now. So I left that at 1.8 million. The next 3 lines are FEMA related. Uniforms, I left that as it is since we didn't make any changes in personnel. The uniforms, left those where they are. The reason we're a little lower on uniforms and some of these things is because I went a good number of months during this budget cycle with fewer than a full house of road and bridge personnel. Shop supplies, when we printed this budget forecast, we were at 35.5% of our shop supplies. And my mantra to those guys is if you need it in order to make something work, or you need some equipment or tires, or you need something, you feel free to let me know and we'll get it and move forward. So I don't hold anybody up. So on shop supplies this year, we used 35% of our budget. So I actually backed that down some because I have plenty of contingency. If I need to move these numbers a little bit higher, buy shop supplies, I have the ability to do that. In training, I left that as it is at 3,000. Electricity, left that as it is at 2,500. On natural gas, we fill that tank. It's a propane tank. We fill it once a year. This year we bought 770 $770 worth of propane once. In the event that the price for propane, shoots up through the roof, then I may need to move a little bit over for that, but I don't anticipate it. I dropped that down. Water, I left that as it is. Again, we have no idea what they're going to charge us for water out there, but on repair and maintenance, at 45,000, which is what we had for this last year, we have repaired trailers, we have repaired seals on grade alls, we've repaired blades. And where we are on repairs this year, we've only used 45% of that budget. So I left it where it is. Tubes and tires are very, very similar. 15,000 on tubes and tires, subscriptions and dues, which are line 481. We've used all of that so far on subscriptions and dues. So I increased that a bit. We're $3 at the time. We were about $3 over on that. So we'll get that squared away. On miscellaneous expenditures, I am doing everything we can to remove miscellaneous expenditures and put those into budgeted line items rather than having those. But as Keegan and the office staff determine that things need to go into miscellaneous expenditures. So I've reduced the miscellaneous budget from 2,000 to 1,200, and we'll continue working to properly categorize those, because good accounting principles say get little or nothing in miscellaneous if possible. And so I've done that. So my budget this year is about $37,000 less than it was last year. And we've done generally pretty good job on that upper area there. If we go down to capital outlays, 535, line 535, capital outlay other. Our fence out there around the barn is falling, and I would prefer to keep the I'd prefer to keep the equipment and the offices fixed up. So to that end, we're going to find a paint contractor that'll paint that metal building that's our barn out there and replace the fence around it. And I've already received bid on the fencing. And so I have that right now, capital outlay at 25,000. And I may be increasing that. I may look to increase that to, another 5,000, depending on what those paint contract bids, what those bids come in at.
Who'd you get for your fence, Cliff?
It's a
'Cause
guy
I got the same problem.
here in Canton. They're here in Canton. I'll give you the.
Cause I
Yeah,
thought about doing that too. I need to do that, but I didn't put it in my budget.
yeah. My fence in a lot of places. We're having to.
It's a chain link fence,
A
right?
chain link fence.
Just like this right
8
here
foot?
with vines on it.
So
Yeah.
I'm just curious, why wouldn't that be on like building and ground maintenance? Why is it going capital outlay? I mean, I'm just curious, I'm not,
On mine, I didn't have a building and grounds
Okay.
maintenance.
okay. Yeah, I gotta repair my fence too.
So I don't know why they don't have a line item for that on my budget. Maybe it just wasn't populated before, so.
Do you want it added?
It would be fine for me to add building and grounds.
It's 450. You don't have it. Yours is very streamlined.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it is nice. So 450, that would work fine for me. Of course, that would move that up to the
Yeah,
other
that
cost.
would be more appropriate if it's repairing what you've already got, so.
Yep. On equipment purchases, we're looking this year, we need a new haul truck and trailer. Ours has a lot of miles and a lot of usage on it, and that's where I've spent my maintenance money this year. On my repair and maintenance for equipment, has been spent on the truck and the trailer. So, and we've got that, and then and then I'd like to get a, we have a skid steer, and I'd like to get a mulcher for that skid steer. We have everything else we need. We just don't have the mulcher. The mulcher runs about $30,000 for a high flow mulcher, so that we could, rather than having to pick up things in the ditch, we can just recycle it right there in place rather than having to work through that. And we have some folks that have good experience on that. So that's a reduction of my budget. This last year, we got two pieces of equipment that were relatively expensive, and we've used 96.7% of the equipment purchase budget this year. At $267,000, we're going to be purchasing less expensive equipment pieces this next year. That's $135,000. So last year we had $267,000. This year we're at $160,000. So my overall budget should reduce this year by about $150,000.
Neither of y'all had anything in contingency.
Yeah, I don't know what that number is yet.
I've got it. I've got 130.
Okay.
My contingency this year is $570,000, and I haven't spent any.
Yeah, and I'm sure you know this, but I put some in there in case you have some emergency you don't know pop up.
I'm perfectly happy to put, I would put 110% of what I have available to put in there, but I don't know what that number is.
Make sure
Your fund
you have
balance.
it in there, make sure you put some in.
You talking about your fund balance or contingency?
I have, well, it's on this line item, it's line number 800. And so if I have $750,000, then I'll put $750,000 in there, because if something comes up and we need to use it,
But you're gonna put all of them in contingency. I mean, you're gonna put, like, it's like we're gonna.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
in budgets, from my background, every dollar that you have should be budgeted.
So your fund balance should be budgeted, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
$753,751.
Can I borrow some?
Yeah.
Okay. That's on recording.
You may not want like an interest rate.
Yeah, that's right. Chief financial officer.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm about helping my friends.
You're about the only position that can help somebody.
Well, it's not to my credit. It's not to my credit. And I will tell you this, that every citizen who has called me about, a problem in a roadway, I won't replace somebody's personal private culvert. But if somebody calls me, we've replaced culverts after culverts after culverts. We had terrible flooding in an area up by Felba Fish Farm. And we took the one culvert out, we put two in, replaced that thing, and those folks who before really had to find another way around have not had that problem since. And we've had some bad rains.
We've replaced 45 this year.
Yep.
45 culverts.
45 culverts.
So do you all get your culverts from the same place, Wilson, and at Wilson?
Used to be.
Yeah, but and y'all may want to start thinking about this. I talked to my crew. I'm going to plastic culverts. Not on roads that, if it's a road and it needs a culvert, I'm going to plastic culverts because they're never gonna wear out. Now, on intersections, I'm gonna keep the metal culverts because you do have people that turn. If you're the plastic one, it would just crumble, whereas the metal ones you can go fix. But as far as culverts that just go across the road, I'm going to plastic culverts. They cost more, but you never got to replace them.
The only thing they're subject to is fire. They will burn like crazy.
Well, that happens.
We put one in across the road by this lady's entrance, so it was a crossover culvert. And they wrecked their leaves up there that fall and set them on fire.
Oh, my.
And it just pulled a vacuum and sucked it right through it. Yep, and then the road caved in.
If
That's
that
the
happens,
only thing. Other than that, and they're plenty stout.
I'll take that gamble.
Yeah.
A lot lighter too.
We're replacing culverts left and right at $1,200 a culvert average. Some of them may be 3,000, some of them may be 800, but it's $1,200 average. And I was like, screw this, we're putting plastic culverts in, and we ain't gotta come back and do this, because Tony's like, well, yeah, I replaced this one 12 years ago, or I replaced this one 7 years ago, it's already rotted out.
They used to put concrete in, they're labor intensive, but
Yeah.
they do last. They'll last 40 years.
Mhm.
Is that all, Scott? Is that all you got?
Well, I mean, just generally speaking, as it relates to contingency, you know, it's very difficult to do a budget when you don't know what you have available to work with.
I understand.
You know, we're at this point on contingency, it's my intent, by the final draw that we put 100% of what we have available in there, because if it's not in there, it's not in it. And I can't lend to my friends if it's not in there.
What you don't know, what you don't have.
That's right. Just fill out a credit app.
Okay, question I have for each of you is if you could increase your material budget, what would you increase it to where it would, your crew could handle it in a fiscal year? In other words, you'd have enough to keep your crew busy all year or for the whole year, and you wouldn't have any left over.
Well, I had that conversation with Mr. Taylor just recently. I said, we have $1.8 million in our material budget. We haven't spent, you know, we're about 50%. I have $570,000 in my contingency. If we were going to spend the entire 800,000 that we have left plus the 570 or 1.3 million, would I need to hire outside contractors to put that down? And he said, no, sir, we have the capacity and the manpower in order to spend the entire $1.3 million that we have left. So if they were putting down road material and buying culverts and doing those things that they could do when it's not prime road covering material time, we could probably spend $2,750,000.
That was my number. My number was 3 million.
Yeah, that's what I believe. Because that would mean that in the winter, we are still buying those. See, we have a lot of road delineators bridge delineators that we need new pipe or new fence posts and delineators, and we buy signs sparingly, you know, just as we need them and get them put in. But if we had the budget, the road and bridge materials budget for that kind of thing, then we really could continually. So, and I think $2,750,000 is okay.
Fair perspective, Judge. My budget was 1.1 million. If it hadn't rained, I'd have been down with that 1.1 million in the middle of June. And I still got July, August, and September left.
Mr. Kirk, would you care to put a number out there? Or would you like for us to put a number out there for you? So my objective is if we could increase the materials without increasing the for road work, without increasing labor or equipment costs. I mean, fuel would be part of it, but
Well,
is that a homework question?
no, I mean,
I think 2 and 4 are different than 1 and 3. Go ahead, Mitch. Sorry, but put that in there. Y'all, if you 1 and 3.
no, I'm just saying that, like, if you know,
You're at
Yeah,
1.6.
Well, their number is correct. That's not out of reach to 3 million wouldn't be out of reach. It, you know, if you're talking about overlay material and you just want to take off an overlay road, you can put out 20 trucks a day easy. I think you can put out 20 trucks a day. They're about $2,500 a truck. You have about 9 months out of the year you could do that. So, you know, I don't know what the math is on that, but you know, 20, what is it, $45,000 a day that you can put out pretty easy.
You can't put out 20 trucks on an 8-hour day,
I can.
10-hour day, even.
Yeah.
Not an 8-hour day.
It just depends on logistically if they get you the trucks,
Yeah,
but
just-
long story short is you can put 20 out a day. We couldn't all put 20 out a day because you can't get that many trucks. But so
Well, let's see.
you can, so just say you put out
Well-
35,000 a day, 150,000 a week. In 10 weeks, you'd have 1.5 million. Isn't that right? My math right on that?
Pretty close.
150,000 a day, 150,000 a week in 10 weeks. It's possible to do that.
1.5 million.
I think everybody should have a good overlay program, but in my precinct, if I have to choose one or the other right now, I'm going to go towards the base, the subgrade, because it has not been addressed. And it doesn't cost that much to do that, but it takes time. It's it's labor intense. So,
And
2.5 million is not out of reach. It would be great to have $2.5 million to work with, and I'd spend every penny of it.
Okay.
And there would be a big improvement if we had that kind of money.
1.2 million gets me approximately 13 miles of overlay a year. So if I had the 3, I'd be getting 26 miles, so my plan would go from a 15-year plan to a 9-year plan. That's still covered with the 2.
Okay.
I might get it done before I get out of here. Get through like this fast.
So, and I guess my other question is on radar equipment. I know Bobby's just got a new radar. So everybody got ditch digging equipment that is in good shape that can be used.
I have, my piece went into the shop this last week. They had some difficulty getting it moving down the road, and that's on the newer one. The older one still is working, no problem. So, but we've got that one in the shop.
Near when they go into limp mode,
Yeah.
they have a built-in sensor that when something's wrong with the fuel or the transmission, it'll go in limp mode and you can't get it down the road about 10 miles an hour.
That's
It won't allow you to work.
transmission was a problem on this one.
Okay.
Because the gradals are great machines to have, but they are expensive to keep. They will break down. They're going to break down at least once a year. That's just
Now,
how
is
they are.
that piece of equipment you talked about that does the diagnostic?
I didn't put that on my budget this year. But
What is that? What does that run?
I think it's $12,000, 12,000, something like that, but. Even if we can diagnose, and we can diagnose a lot of things, sometimes our mechanics just don't have the arms to reach some of those things. You know, I've said I've been arguing with somebody or discussing unit system with somebody recently, and I'm against it. Like they have fiber in me that likes a unit system. But I could see how if we had a really good mechanic shop for the county, it might would benefit. You know, in-house.
All the departments, not just road and bridge, but
Right, sheriff's office and everything. We had our own in-house. That might be something that would be beneficial. And I don't know that for a fact. I just think, you know, we all have. I didn't really run all the numbers on that in my mind, but I thought if we had our own mechanic shop somewhere.
I'll play devil's advocate with that. I think the idea is good, but when Cliff just said the sheriff's department and then ours, we're gonna have a lot of mechanics.
You know, just as long as they put mine first.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was thinking.
well, I mean, you know, the theoretically speaking, our county barn that wouldn't be needing to charge a profit. You know, the same number of mechanics are gonna be required in any particular year, just based on the number of things that need to be fixed, and when you send them out, you have to pay somebody a little, bump for their profit. But the county barn would not be in the position of needing, needing that kind of profit, so.
Unless you're working on rings.
Unless you're working on, then we would be charging interest and a profit.
That's right.
Would it be nice to have like an extra grade off that was available if yours went down?
Right.
Would it be nice to have like that instead of,
Are they available to rent?
I've never rented one. But I know that like Bobby was talking about a reclaimer, rent a reclaimer is $10,000 a month.
14.
Yeah, so it's a lick, to do that. I don't know what the answer is to everything. The system we have right now is pretty good if you have people that are qualified taking care of business. And
And it comes down on equipment. You got to take care of your equipment. You got to take a week off in service.
you're right.
I mean,
It's twice today.
I don't get somewhere. I mean, we do that.
Bobby's not here. That's the
That's right. We take 2 to 3 weeks off a year and just bring it twice a year, once in the spring, once in the winter. And we service everything.
When I got in, not one of my vehicles had been inspected in, state inspection. I hate to say that with Miss Dansbury sitting right here in this office, but we had to take every single vehicle that we had down and update the inspection.
That's where Virgil got all that money from. State it out there.
I was shocked. I said, Mike. So you're right, and those guys are out there busy working every day.
And wait, was the registration out or was it?
The inspections.
Okay.
I'd hate to tell you.
Can you get it registered without the inspections?
I don't know if the county can or not.
I don't.
It's the commissioner's court. We can do.
Even some of our hard runs it just depends. And so I think I supposed to try to reach out, but in the auditor's office, maybe a little bit more. I don't think she was the law, but the registrations.
Yeah, we just had every piece of equipment. So we've replaced, this year we've replaced, I think, every tire on just about every vehicle. And there was just a lot of stuff that just had not been done.
Mind blowing.
I asked my guys when I first got in, well, when's the last time we serviced? Well, we've never serviced that. And it has like 100,000 miles on it. I go, well, the first thing we're gonna do is start changing oil. We spent a month doing that. And I kid you not, we unplugged that oil pan and it was black tar.
You ripped out of it. Yeah, I got some.
like, oh my word.
Yeah.
Change all the
So,
oils.
do y'all have maintenance logs for each?
We
piece of
have
equipment?
logs now.
How about y'all?
No,
We started one
Start one.
this year.
we started one about 4 minutes ago.
At least he's honest.
Yeah, he's honest. All right, anything else on the road and bridge?
We're moving on.
Y'all hadn't talked bad about Bobby, and now's your opportunity.
He's got enough problems.
Yeah.
That's right.
Bobby's gonna have to readjust his budget, I think.
Yeah. Well, I hope we can help him out, help all y'all out. Just gotta, we just gotta
Cliff could
find
help.
out what our numbers are gonna be.
Cliff could help us out.
Yeah.
Sitting on a gold mine over there.
All right.
I know, I like real.
Yeah. You're up.
We're all legal now.
You're up. Yeah.
You look vaguely familiar.
You? The neighbors.
She's a vandal though.
Yes,
Nice.
yes. And Vandal, now watch out.
So. Something, start out with this kind of separate from this. Some of you may or may not know that in our county we collect, I actually do not, the appraisal district is set up a long time ago. They collect what they call a vehicle inventory tax. So like your dealers, pay them for what they have on their lots. And so me as the tax assessor, I get from those funds collected the penalties and the interest off the bank account. And so those funds are not county funds. It's funds that comes into an account that I manage and that I can use for dealers. It has to be, could be dealer training for the dealer clerk. It could be anything that will help the dealers. And I turn this into the auditor every year. So this is what this is. It's broke down. There's a little over $25,000 in that account, and I only use that for so far for training for the web dealer clerk, the dealer clerk, little things like that. I'm hoping that in the future, if we change locations, it may be something that I can implement to actually be able to do more for the dealers. But I plan on doing nothing but letting that sit there.
Didn't you get a video system with that money?
I'm gonna look in, like basically it would be what they call like you take a number, kiosk. If we have like an open foyer where it's multiple apartments waiting room, I would have a kiosk where the customer or the citizens would come up, type in their information, let us know what they need. And then they'll go have a seat and basically a monitor will say go to clerk number 3, you ready for you. So they can sit down, be comfortable, scroll on their phones instead of standing in line staring, they're comfortable. So I'm hoping that some of those funds I'll be able to use in certain areas, as long as I know that it goes along with assisting the dealers, because that's the important part. It has to be dealer related.
Right. Okay.
But yes, I plan on looking at those funds. So really,
You didn't ask for any changes in personnel, right?
I have nowhere to put them. Again, we're at another budget season. Of course, we need another person, but at this point, there's really no way or where I can put them. So we're gonna just hold off. We're gonna hold off another year, see how things go, and see where we're at in next budget season. You may be looking at me asking for another person, but for now,
We might
Well-
have a place for it.
yes.
I mean,
yes.
you could if you housed them at one of the other
That is
offices.
For to manage, and now I'm down 1 clerk. We'll have it filled quickly. Thank you for the raises in the past. That's not gonna be an issue replacing that. But even having someone in the substation, it takes a year in training before you can get another person. And at this point, there's only one system in each substation. So even if we had it right now, it's just not the right time to add another clerk. I just don't see it at the moment. It's
So,
gonna take months to get the state to even move systems when we get ready.
give me the schedule of the substations.
Schedule of the substations, so we have Rensselaer, which is Monday and Tuesday. It's working
Okay.
out real well. The judge there likes, they love the schedule. Ben Wheeler is Wednesday, also the judge, and that they love that schedule. The citizens know it's open on Wednesdays. And we try very hard to never have that one not be open on a Wednesday, unless it's a holiday, obviously. And then Wednesday, Thursday, Friday in Wills Point substation. And that is consistent. I have 2 different clerks that rotate that substation. So, and it's working out well. The citizens know that it's consistent days and they can go in there.
And the hours? that
And
they're
the
open?
hours, so we have, Bransoline is 8 to 4 and they close from 12 to 1 for lunch. That clerk will do her cash outs, make her deposit, and then bring her work over to Canton and clock out from there because she lives here. And then Wednesday, it's also 8 to 4 in Ben Wheeler. They do over at Judge Chen's office 11:30 to 12:30 for lunch. So we just keep the same lunch hours, and then 8 to 4:30 in Wills Point. And that judge does 12 to 1 for lunch, and then Canton, of course, Canton is the main hub, so we stay open during lunch, and we do rotating lunches, so it's 8 to 4:30. Monday through Friday.
Okay.
mostly. Yeah.
So, and all title work's done in Canton, correct?
No, title work's are also done in substations
It
as
is,
well, but
okay.
dealer work, anything like that, major, 18-wheeler type, difficult veteran transactions, that all done at the main hub. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So it's,
And I haven't gotten any emails about the state system being down in quite a while, so has it been a little bit more reliable?
they've done pretty good. So we had a system upgrade. They took us from what they called a T1 line, don't get me the line, Scott, to I think a
But
T4 or 5 line. They did that. Yes, so that's made a big difference because we were literally getting water in the lines. And so that was causing a lot of trouble with the connectivity. And so every time it would rain, you know how we already have water issues there. So it's much, much better. They did that in Wills Point several years ago, and then they've done Ben Wheeler, and I don't know about Grand Saline. It may not be upgraded yet, but that may be something they, tackle in the future.
It doesn't rain in Grand Saline.
It does mine in Grand Saline.
Too salty, too salty.
So, but the department is doing well. Citizens are happy. Our wait times have lessened. We work with people as much as we can, and we go by what the state guidelines give us, and then I have my own office policies because I want to make sure that our citizens are protected from fraud. And there is some fraud in Van Zandt County. There is in every county. We see things and we deny things, and people can get upset at times because we want to ask for IDs. We want to make sure who we're talking to is that person, but all in all, we got great citizens. They are great people, and we were just so happy to be able to serve them. We sure are. And that things are going really smooth. So that's why when I was looking at the budget, of course, I'm always going to ask for a raise regardless. I know you guys, it's up to you. I put in the 5%, that's pretty standard. So if you go on down, I kept everything the same. Judge, during a recent budget hearing I was watching, I know you had mentioned something about postage. I am totally fine if we want to try to reel that back. The reason why we jumped it so much is because of the safety inspections going away. We kind of foresaw that people might go use more mailing.
Mhm.
We still don't really know that yet. I think that is eventually going to happen. But for now, I don't mind reeling that back in a tad, but you said there's going to be an increase. So I'm willing to cut it back 1,500 at least. So that way I still have a little bit of a cushion because we do have a, House Bill 718 that's going to in effect on January 1. We may be sending out a few more plates here and there. Possibly most plates are going to be shipped directly to the dealers now. So, but that's why I'm willing. We can cut that back a little bit.
Okay.
As of right now, you're at 62.32%, not the 37.66%. So you're right on for your usage.
Okay, I don't have an updated one.
I just ran this one just now.
Okay, thank you, Scott. So when I do come over and run, like you've seen me in there, I'll run a whole, box at a time. And each envelope that we send to the state that we stuff to the brim, they're all title work.
That machine that we got you is supposed to help save you costs, but
I'm gonna be getting with you because I still don't have that set up like it needs to be.
we don't have money in the account.
Okay, that was my
That is-
question. I
that
was
is
gonna-
why. And there's
See if there was actually funds, because that's what we were waiting on that one.
an issue getting that taken care of.
Just going on down to the training, everything is kind of right in line. I pulled the bond out because my bond, I believe, covers the whole 4 years, but I know if not, it's every other year. So there's no, I just have my bond and just done when I read.
Yeah, I think it's different with people taking money than it is, so I don't know.
On office supplies, I don't think and I get concerned, when I backed several things down, I'm back on my own budget because like in office supplies, you use 30%. Is that still the number? up on,
She was actually showing me at 66.61%.
yeah, that's good.
Office supplies that I will be ordering checks, different things that we had to add into there, like, so it did get a little bit of a bump last year because we are having to pay for our own checks now.
Okay.
So that's something I'll be, and then if we have any money left towards the end there, I might buy a chair or two, an
Mhm.
office chair, cause.
Oh, yeah.
You
No,
know,
you're right.
They go through them.
You're
so,
right.
Yeah, so I definitely would not want to pull that one back at all.
You see, I got a quote coming to me probably today on check, but I've got to order some. So I'll let you know what the quote is, just give you.
Is that Performa? Yeah, that's who I use currently already. Yeah, with Kenny to order them for me.
So, travel expense, I know that bumped up in prior years because you were making, especially when we were, the office was closed and you were having to travel.
Okay.
But 75%, whatever, that $70, that's not a lot. I know that's your employees traveling to the substations, right?
So with I do my very best. I do not claim any mileage for my run-ins locally. That's just me. It's too much trouble, honestly. If I'm going to the bank, going to the post office, I might go grab my lunch. Like, I'm not concerned about that. So I'm not taking any funds from the county for that. Those funds could, we kept those, and I'm glad we did, because you know what happened in 22, we were
Right.
almost over. I feel like those funds is gonna be something that we're gonna need next budget season, if we're doing any running or moving or anything. But right now, the way I have it set up with the part-time substations is that the inventory is being moved through either someone, supervising that lives in that area or the clerk. Taking them so we're able to save.
You're 30
Right.
point used.
Route back instead of making special trips, you know, for inventory exchange and stuff like that. So we're really watching it. But I would not want to pull any money out of that line item because I don't know what the future holds between now and next budget season. There may be a need for those funds. That's, I mean, you guys know what I do on that. Okay.
But on the office chairs, Judge, would it be more appropriate to put the office chairs if you were gonna do something in the office equipment, or would furniture fit better in,
That's what, most departments have. She may not have an office equipment.
Yeah, there it is. She got your own.
Okay, so can you move some of the 4,800 office supplies down here to office equipment? You can always move it back if you need to.
I've always ordered chairs through the office supplies in past years and was never
fine
instructed
for
to
me.
anything different,
it's fun for
so.
me. My background just is, you gotta
Me
put
too.
everything in the budget, and it's gotta be in it, so.
Where it makes sense in your mind,
Yeah.
but in my mind, that's office.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying. It's a perspective. That's
It's
all.
very subjective,
Yeah.
Check.
Check.
very subjective.
I see acquisition of you know, like things that last over 6 months
Yes.
going to capital.
You can put
and-
serial number on it, so I see your side of it as well.
But I'm perfectly okay if it stays in office supplies, because it is one of those things, you might not have a chair that lasts 6 months. Y'all are in there
We go through it.
100% of the time working those, so office supplies, yeah. Yeah, I have that 6 month.
Just really never know what's gonna set them off.
I think Cliff just wants a trial. He hadn't had a trial in a while and he's trying to get something. We're talking about office supplies and office equipment. He's wanting to.
So basically everything is the same throughout there. I did a couple of other, I don't know if you guys have any more questions on that.
Well, I have a question, but I go over to your office from time to time, and they're really the best folks that I've worked with in a tax assessor collector's office.
I was about to say, I encourage you all to come over and spend some time with us. I would love for each of you to just come over and just spend 30 minutes. Let sit down in that, what I call the bullpen, you know, and see the customers, see the interaction, see the actual volume that we do. We
And the
are
parking.
growing. And the parking, it's the size of a matchbox, that's what I tell people.
Yeah, it's a
You
real.
know, it's scary sometimes, yeah. But, you know, I tell them I am only as good as the tools I have to work with. That goes from the building to the staff to everything, but I am also nothing without those tools, so I.
Are you getting good support from IT?
Yes, very much so, yeah, no problem in that sense.
I bet.
Yeah. No, you know, I don't have it in my budget, but I, you know, talked to Scott about a situation that we're needing, something over in Wills Point, and I mean, he's taking care of that, so it's not just Rusty, Scott's good to me too. You know, I don't, honestly, I don't ask for a lot, but then when I do ask, it's something I really need. So as far as the growth, we're still seeing it, obviously, we're still.
Are you doing,
seeing
can
it.
you do, have you done a year-to-year comparison on the number of registrations in this county?
Not really, that's the thing, so I used to present transaction numbers. And each transaction could have multiple transactions in it, so it's kind of skewed all together, but then I found out the numbers I was supplying doesn't include the substation transactions, so, and I can't get it from the state, but I went ahead and ran something just to give you something to think about, so this was in 24, because we're still not quite, this is from January through December, a full complete year, not our budget year. We did over 60,000 transactions. Like I said, that is kind of skewed because each transaction, they could do their motorcycle and their boat trailer.
It had 70,000 to get his stuff.
Yeah,
delivered.
and then you have the substations, you know, that I can't get those numbers, so I don't know. You guys are being funny today. I was laughing at y'all when I was sitting at my desk earlier.
Well, you know, I didn't go over to your office, you know, and I went over as a citizen just to register something. So they had no idea.
They don't know. They do
They-
not know. I try to introduce you guys when you come in, but they don't know who you are.
No,
You're
and,
secret shoppers.
and,
Yeah.
And that's
Well,
fine, because we're extraordinary citizens when we're going out.
That's-
doing
you
that.
are-
That's right.
Shouldn't be
That's right.
treated Any differently.
yeah, I would, and it was just one person in your office that, hey, and
Yes, and then, oh, they got me, you know, yeah.
yeah, they were perfectly helpful and courteous, kind. And so it was, and then two other times I went by there just and said hello. I happened to be going to see the fire marshal, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
So,
Well, I.
So, but there is no way to get the number of vehicles registered in this county.
I will look and see. I will do some.
Because,
research.
you know,
Yeah.
we know that we're gaining 1,000 new residents a year. So you figure you're gonna have at least 500 new vehicles.
not 2,000.
That are getting of age and they're getting their driver's license and they're able to drive.
That's right.
So you've got our existing citizens that are coming of age. Just as our older citizens are not driving, you know, so it's constantly evolving and we are growing leaps and bounds. We wouldn't be getting the Freddy's in a 7 brew.
Whoa, what?
We're getting a Freddy's out on
Really?
Tuesday, and we're getting a Starbucks.
Oh, here at Starbucks, Freddy's.
But Freddy's, I am really excited about. It's on my way home, you know,
Is it county or the city?
so as far as numbers go, as dollars, you know, it's just kind of something I don't, you know, necessarily, like, if you guys want any numbers from me, like a volume of what we do, please come and see me. Be happy to tell you. Brandon gets a report every month. So he sees the volume, he sees the numbers that are coming through
Well,
and just by
You
those.
submit the report to us that goes
Yeah.
into the court money, they can look at it.
Well,
But
Brandon gets them.
I do get it.
but from the revenue side, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the county receives close to, over $600,000 from, vehicle registration fees. That's the county's portion, not the total.
More.
Okay. Well, as you say, I like to be low. I'm going to be told I'm wrong, so I like to be on the low side.
Told about the law, you get told a lot of that.
So
Judge.
anyway, it's significant what you bring in.
Yes, most of it goes to the comptroller, as we all know, most of our.
No, I was talking about the fees that that we
But
get to keep.
the county gets a significant, amount. Just to also wanted to let you know, like I was saying, the growth within the citizen numbers, but we do have growth within our commercial side. So we have roughly, 25 to 30 active dealers. That could be campers, vehicles, trailers. And we've added 6 more since this last budget season. So that is, I mean, you talking multiple transactions. Can I?
You may approach the bench.
So without anything, I did a quick number out of my QuickBooks, and that is what has been paid to the county thus far. This
Wow.
year.
No, that's not, well, that's how much,
That's how much
And-
checks I've written.
right. But we send them most of that back to the state, right?
It's gonna be like sent over
Okay,
so far this budget season, just this
Okay.
budget season. But this is what's been paid so far
okay,
to county.
okay,
So
yeah.
that's what's been paid to the county so far, and that's the total for funds.
So have you, witnessed, or have you had experienced any flooding with all the rains that have come in?
Like what happened in 22, we did have to close for a few hours one morning recently to mop and, get the fans and get those going, but, the roofs leaked a couple of times over on top of Joanne's desk and.
Have you contacted the landlord?
So we do not have that information. So poor Chris gets it from us every time and he says, I'm gonna continue to let maintenance know until
Right.
I'm instructed not to. Because I've never been given any other information to alert
Right.
anyone else. So I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, leave it up to Chris to make the decision if it needs to be the landlord or we can do it. It's a efficiency, way to do it, so.
We
Yeah,
could file a repair and remedy case in with Judge Shin if it comes down to it.
Well, I don't want
That's
to
a
go that
joke.
far.
That's a
I
joke.
don't want to go that far.
That-
That's above my head, file repaired remedy.
Still looking for.
well, I think that's precinct 1, so that would be.
I'll represent you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, is there anything else?
Think of we're just waiting. We're just waiting. We'll be ready to go whenever we say go. Whatever the court decides to do with the tax office.
Because August
Well,
26th, is when the current lease is up for the East Annex. So,
They are looking, there's
Next
some
year, this year.
people out there looking.
Next
they're
year.
Gonna do some work,
26.
because they've seen the flooding and stuff, so they, Sue Ball and some other individuals have been out there, getting their plan of action ready.
You got a place.
Got a plan. They,
Go ahead, spell the face.
we're happy. We're just like, we don't care. Wherever y'all tell us, to go, we're gonna back up and go. So. yeah. But if there's anything else, I think the fire marshal, I believe, was outside. Kevin was here.
Okay.
Was hoping to get in to see you
You bet.
guys, if that's okay.
Wait.
I'll send him in. Okay.
See today?
All right. And like I said, if any of you ever want to come over,
Your office is impressive. I get no complaints about your office whatsoever.
thank you very much. We do have some, but you can't make everyone happy. There is no way possible of that, but we have respect for our citizens. We try to do our best to accommodate them as much as we can, so.
Begins in leadership.
Preaching to the choir there.
All righty.
Thank you much. You can go ahead and send the fire marshal in.
Leave the plane outside.
He is scheduled for tomorrow. He volunteered to come early.
Good. That means Jack can please stay on.
Now you go tell Keith.
Yeah.
He said you better.
All right, you got a ways. I need to can we take a 5-minute break?
Absolutely.
We're gonna take a 5-minute break, okay? I wanna find your budget first. Go. All right, I'll be right back.
I don't know, safe, I guess, is that, we give you the money for safe?
No, we're not using, we're recording.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You know how much that is, I don't know how much you want to do that. So do I need a budget for that, or?
No, that's. I think. Because that. Oh. Okay. I used to love the song, I'll say, I'll say Sam. We're gonna be going to church.
Because I'm also,
Yeah. Oh, that's just. In the bit, I mean, class social. And so I see something that I didn't really go with that. If I switch or something, parents, I think. Yeah, that's just as versions, but Bruce tries to follow, and he goes, yeah.
because I'm also, I haven't gotten the quotes back yet. It's basically software that like the police, the firefighters use for the incident reports. You know what I'm talking about? It'd be something like that for us. But it's more,
We use top, I mean, we use Southern software at the sheriff's office, and then some of the constables use top sync. You know, some similar to that.
yeah, the only problem is, it's gotta also be able to do, inspections.
None of the fires, they're all on horses.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, it's kind of a hybrid, cause it's where we would do our inspections, our building inspections and stuff. So it's kind of a hybrid.
I know you're wrong about that safe, maybe talk to the judge about it. That may be something we'll roll over.
It's
See it online.
it's not on mine
Oh,
unless, I have one here that was called contract services,
that could be it.
but it was only $1,200 for the whole year.
Probably about right, I don't think it was very much. Did they give you a quote for the new cloud base? And maybe they said you.
Who safe?
Yeah.
No.
I think that's. Michelle's.
I remember that, yeah, Michelle did talk to me about the cloud based, going to the cloud base and all the advantages of it. Someone from Safe actually came down. And was talking about that we did need to get the cloud based software.
I will. And how much that's gonna be and talk to the judge about whether that.
Okay.
Oh, sure, so it's us.
So as far as software that we have to pay for. The cloud based safe and whenever I get the quotes back for the fire marshal stuff.
Got a ballpark on them?
No,
Where's everybody?
they quit.
Praise.
Y'all turned in their letters of
They're having a
resignation.
look, they're having a little meeting out there and they said, whatever you do, just say no. I was in your office yesterday,
Oh, yeah? Where we going?
doing what your DR. I like her, but she had a little bit of sweat right here on her lip, right there. I wasn't sure they was gonna let me in. Didn't know who I was.
But we're talking about a safe program. I don't find it in my.
The budget?
Contract services, I wonder if they were paying that and we need to move that up. Said,
Okay,
I don't think I've ever factored it in.
okay. Do you have,
I made a note to get a quote from, I think Michelle's got the contact information.
okay,
So I'll find that out when we get down to this contract services.
okay.
I like your office though. I like people in your office. You got a Marine at the front door.
I know.
She's intense.
Save software to IT. Is there any other software?
I was telling him I'm waiting to get some quotes back. It's it's kind of hard to find because it has to have law enforcement stuff, but it also has to have fire stuff because we do both.
Mhm.
So it's got to have the ability to do reports, like law enforcement reports, and then also do our inspections.
Yeah.
Kinda.
Kinda, he showed up before you did, so it wasn't scheduled, so. Okay.
I do have a scheduled time tomorrow. I was just trying.
No,
I thought I might
we'll
need
go,
to.
soon as, we'll get started as soon as Cliff shows up, or maybe we'll get started before that, so. No,
Got that guy coming in 11:30.
yeah, so tell us, tell us what some of your plans are for next year.
So I had several different versions before I came up with this one. So, you know, with this office, it's not like I'm just asking for a pay raise or I'm just asking for a new printer. I'm completely changing the office because that's what it needs to meet the needs of the county. So with this particular version, what this adds is another environmental specialist, a full-time environmental specialist. This promotes Michelle Beaver to deputy chief
So-
clerk. Go ahead.
Explain what an environmental specialist responsibilities will be.
So the environmental specialist is what I changed Ashley's job title to
Mhm.
whenever she left and I hired Sharon Marisol.
Mm-hmm.
So the job description right now, as it sits, is they are the first line of defense for as being a designated representative, but they also do the initial investigations on abatement and illegal dumping.
Okay,
Now, obviously when I hired Sharon, she was gonna be our primary DR, so I didn't lie to her. I said 90% of what you're gonna do is DR stuff. But eventually, that's what the environmental specialist job would be, is that they do DR, abatement, and illegal dumping. There's a process that they can go through to where I actually can deputize them. And they don't have arrest powers, but they can actually issue the citations.
okay,
So that's what their primary thing would be.
okay,
And you're adding one of those?
One full-time environmental specialist.
okay.
That all,
And Sharon is full-time.
And they will be doing,
Sharon is full-time.
and they will be doing DR too.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you'll have 3 DRs or 2? Oh,
So what I also did with making, with the promotion of Michelle to chief deputy clerk, part of that is that she already has her DR certification. So that if Sharon goes on vacation and whoever I hire as the other DR gets sick that week, Michelle can step in and do the work of a DR as well because she's certified.
okay.
I'm gonna ask the student, what is DR?
Designated representative. So
It's
through
the sep-
TCEQ is who oversees on-site sewage facilities. So the judge is the authorized agent for our county, saying that we're gonna do our own septic tank permitting and inspections. So whenever they go through the class and get certified, the judge signs them off as one of the designated representatives.
Sorry, that environmental specialist, you said it's law enforcement or it's the.
It's a civilian,
Civilian.
but kind of like code enforcement within a city, there's a training program that I can put them through to where they can't, like I said, they can't arrest anybody, but they can issue citations.
Sure. Just, it's not a good 70.
No.
Okay,
So that would be the two, we'd have two full-time environmental specialists. I would promote Michelle to chief deputy clerk. Which would open up a clerk / admin assistant position to take her spot. And then I kept going back and forth on other things, but what I ended up on is two part-time positions. We have a lot of good firefighters. I think every fireman that works in Garden lives in Van Zandt County. But they have a lot of them have their inspector certification, a lot of them have their investigator certification. They're not law enforcement certified, but every firefighter has a side job. So with these two positions here, I'm basically saying you can work 24 hours a week and they would be helping out with fire investigations and fire inspections.
And what is the workload on fire inspections?
We're barely scraping the surface. So like one example is that tier 2 facilities. Tier 2 facilities are facilities that have met a threshold for hazardous chemicals. They're supposed to be inspected annually. We have 64 of them in Van Zandt County. And I can't tell you the last time any of them were inspected. So that's just tier 2 facilities. But per the Texas government code, every business, commercial property, and 4 or more family dwelling is supposed to be inspected annually. Now, like I came from Houston, so I use the example of Houston. Houston has its own division with a bunch of inspectors. They don't inspect every business every year, but case law, just the general things is as long as you go through and you designate, okay, these are low risk, medium risk, and high risk facilities. And as long as you get all your high risk and most of your moderate risk facilities, you're okay, right? And so that's really what I want to be able to do is annually I hit all of my high risk, most of my moderate risk, and some of our low risk. And then plus you got all the new businesses coming in.
How many high risks do you think you have in Van Zandt?
Over 100.
well, every gas station is potentially high risk, right?
No, so gas stations, the only time the fuel gets to a certain limit, our only tier 2 facilities would be that are higher, that are in the tier 2 facilities are like your big Love's truck stop because they
Mhm.
have so much diesel exhaust fluid, all that kind of other stuff. So like just your normal corner store gas Exxon is not a tier 2 facility.
Okay. But they still require annual inspections, all right?
Every business, commercial property, and 4 or more family dwelling
Mm-hmm.
are supposed to be inspected in.
And pretty much any facility that has a fire suppression system or
Sprinklers or like, the Vent-A-Hood system, that's supposed to be inspected annually.
mhm,
Yes, sir.
okay. All right, so that's what the 2 part-time positions would be doing. Plus, the part-time would be doing uh, you have to do safety inspections for certain public buildings or public for schools. I know you have to do it for the sheriff's, the jail.
Yeah, so this doesn't even get adding this number of people still doesn't get us to, in my view, what makes us a really good fire marshal's office. Because one of the pillars of a normal fire marshal's office is public safety education. And so that's us going to like Rotary clubs, all these different clubs and putting out there to everybody in the county that we will come do life safety walkthroughs on your personal residence.
Mhm.
And it's a walkthrough. We don't issue any citations, but when you start doing that program, a lot of the elderly people with disabled kids, they want you to come and say, hey, where do I need these? What does this look like if a fire breaks out? And those are free of charge. We go in there, we issue the report, and again, they don't have to fix any of it. But that's part of our public safety education. That's one of the things that we're really supposed to be, eventually involved in. But this number of people does not get us to that part yet. That maybe doing a few, but not as robust as I would like it.
So,
This is like phase one of a 5-year plan.
so right now you have yourself and you have 2 other employees, right?
I have Deputy Rapp.
Okay,
I have Sharon Marisol, which is a fully certified DR. And I have Michelle, who's right now on paper just an admin assistant, but she also got her DR as well.
and you're wanting to add Michelle, of course, yourself, and you want to add Michelle as the chief clerk,
Chief Deputy Clerk, yes, sir.
and then you still have Sharon,
Yes, sir.
and who's the first person?
First person was I was gonna add
Oh, no, you got one more person.
Rat.
Right.
Rapp.
Rat,
Right.
deputy rat.
Andrew Rep.
Okay, so right now you got 3 employees,
So,
and you're wanting how many?
One more and 2 part-time.
yeah, or actually
2 more.
2 more full-time, 2 part-time.
How many more desk spaces do you have in your office currently?
So if I got all of these people, I mean, you've been in my office, we'd have to take a bunch of stuff out. I'd probably have to ask if we could use Vicky's desk.
So you don't, the larger point is that you need more room.
Oh, yeah.
You need more room. You got documents to keep. But yet at the same time, as we're trying to make appropriation for additional room, there are certain people in the county that believe that everybody's got plenty of room.
Oh, no,
We don't need to do
my
anything.
evidence room is a filing cabinet that I lost. So we're under a lot of liability with my evidence locker, right?
Right.
Because did we pass the CJIS thing? Sure. But, I've had, I think, 4 arsons of a habitation this year. Like business has been picking up and I don't have a proper evidence room.
And we don't want business to pick up. We're just saying
Yeah.
that's the natural occurrence of.
More people, more things happen.
So you're almost doubling your salary right there, aren't you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And the, do you have any number of septic systems that, you guys have inspected this year compared to previous years?
Oh, yeah, I can get you a running report on how many, that we do, but that's, I had to be more heavy on the DR stuff because there's deadlines. So when they submit the paperwork for a septic tank and the paperwork is approved, we have to issue them an ATC within 30 days. That's the first clock that ticks, right? The next clock, which is really against our favor, is once they say, okay, you've given us the authorization to construct, we've constructed it, we're ready for inspection. Once they notify us, we only have 5 days to inspect it.
Because of that, in actuality, their septic system is open. It's not closed in. It can't be closed in until
After we
final
inspect it.
inspection.
Yeah.
So, and is it your understanding that prior to your arrival here, that there were inspection fees that were annual inspection fees that weren't being paid?
Oh, for sure. So there is a maintenance contract that you're supposed to have a maintenance contract on your system and it's supposed to be renewed annually. They also have 2-year contracts. So it's either $30 a year or $60 a year through our office. All right. But the analogy I use, I move in next door to Mitch Curtis, right? And Mitch, because he's a nice guy, invites me over for a barbecue. And I'm like, man, I didn't know it was going to cost me so much to move into this place. And he says, well, what are you talking about? Well, you got this and this, and then I got to pay $30 a year and have a maintenance contract on my septic. And he starts laughing. He says, I've lived here for 10 years and I ain't never paid that. What am I going to do? Because it's true.
You're gonna stop paying.
There's not an enforcement action. We have a bunch of rules, but we don't have enough people to go into the enforcement action because we're just keeping our head barely above water just on the permitting and inspection of new systems.
Mhm. Has there been any increase in the revenue that your office has brought in, based on beginning the process of going after those folks that haven't paid?
Somewhat, yes, sir, but we're just scratching the surface on that.
Is that because you don't have the personnel? Is the reason why that this health and safety issue is not being addressed?
Yes, sir, because so once you don't have a maintenance contract, by law, it's an illegal septic system. And so then there's 30-day notices that we have to give out. There's just a bunch of paperwork that we have to follow in line in. That eventually, I don't ever want to do this, but eventually, like I have to have someone dig that septic tank system up. Because it's illegal.
Was that similar to what happened out there near the precinct 2 barn? Is that there was a house that had gray water flowing into a ditch, and and they'd never had their septic system permitted or inspected?
Yes, sir. Another issue is, I don't know if you've been to our office, I don't know what that building used to be, but there's an old freezer back behind there. And the front half of that freezer is nothing but paper records. Because before they had safe, they did everything on paper. So we have decades of that we can't go back and say, was this ever a legitimate septic tank or was it not? So that's another thing that, you know, the administrative assistant, whoever that person would be, before she even starts doing like kind of what Michelle does right now, would be nothing but getting those old files and getting them digitized and safe so that we have an accurate record keeping system.
So what would you, I'm gonna piggyback on Cliff.
Sir.
You're not gonna know this answer, but just an estimate.
Yes, sir.
Of course, everything comes down to money.
Yes, sir.
If you got what you wanted.
Yeah.
What do you think, percentage wise, how much would the revenue increase?
With what I'm asking for right
What
now.
you're asking?
uh,
Having that, I don't know, you don't.
Just a projection.
Just projection,
It would at least double.
It
It would at least
it
double.
would at least double.
okay, and then my second question. Is, once again, it comes down to money, if we couldn't do everything.
Mhm.
You want two full-time and 2 part-time. Would you say we had to cut one? Would you rather have 1 full-time, 2 part-time, 2 full-time, 1 part-time?
I'd rather have the full time. The only reason I didn't want to go the part-time experiment yet. The only reason I did is because of the insurance. According to the calculations that I got, it's $10,000 a year per employee.
It's
So-
like 12.
Yeah, more like 12 now. So instead of adding 2 full-time positions, that was 24,000. Because when I really put the spreadsheet together, like this is what a good office would look like, it was undoable. I wasn't even gonna present it to you.
Right, so if we can't do, I hope we can.
Yes,
I'm not
sir.
saying that,
Yes, sir.
but if we can't
Mhm.
do this, what would you?
The full-time.
Okay.
But without regard to whether it's full-time or part-time, whatever the case may be, even if you kept the same number of employees right now, you're not able to effectively operate your department because you don't have enough room.
We don't have enough room and we don't have enough people. Because like I said, we have a bunch of rules, but we don't have anybody to enforce them. So we get all the new ones, right?
Is the enforcement of the rules that you have there, is that an impact in the county related to health and safety?
Absolutely, absolutely. Because we won't get the call until septic is bubbling up from the ground and going into somebody else's property, and it's been doing that for a year. Then that's an emergency situation.
Do we have those in this county?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm pointing out that we have to make certain concessions. And part of that is in you having adequate amount of room to operate and the adequate amount of budget and personnel. And by not doing that, by not giving you the room that you need, the space, that we're actually impacting the health, safety, and welfare of the people of Van Zandt County.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think you're well justified in what you're asking for.
And on the fire side of it, you know, I'm not ignorant to the fact that there's some counties that don't have fire marshals, right? And they don't do inspections. But it's not gonna matter until a 4 or more family dwelling catches on fire, people die, and then there's a class action lawsuit against the county. Because that's what the Texas government code says.
They don't care until it happens to them.
Exactly. And I understand that ignorance is bliss, but now that I'm here, I have to tell the public. I know that there was a big outrage against outdoor burning. I said from the very beginning, I don't necessarily agree with you, but it's the law. And so as my duty as a public servant is to let everybody know what the law is. And so that's what I'm doing now. So, you know, on the environmental side, it absolutely affects public safety, but so too on the fire side. We're not the Gestapo, right? And we're just trying to make people do stuff just to do stuff. These fire codes, you know, one of the things in the military and on the fire side is these standards and codes are written in blood. They're there because people died from them, right? And you can go back to every code and they have some tragic incident as to why there are fire codes. And so once you have a commercial property or a business that you are inviting the general public in, they have a right to go into a safe place and not die in a fire.
When it relates to fires and your investigation of the fires, do you need a secure place to keep evidence?
Absolutely, yes, sir.
Is that hampered by the fact that you don't have enough room in your office for what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
On the new employees, what are the equipment requirements that are gonna be needed for them? Computer wise?
Yeah, so
Vehicle wise and radio wise.
so they'd get the same issue as every new employee, so that's what I needed to lean on Scott with is, I don't know how much a new computer costs, you know, they need a new computer, they need a computer, a phone, a screen. I don't know if that office is set up, if it has enough hardware, if the Wi-Fi is adequate enough for all those people. So you've got the normal stuff, computer, phone, all that kind of good stuff. But down on my capital, I put 70,000 for equipment purchase. That gives me two vehicles. One vehicle would be for the full-time fire environmental specialist, and one would be for the part-time fire inspector. They would basically alternate. Now, if I could get 3 vehicles, you know, like the vehicle I'm driving right now, it's got 150,000 miles on it, but I'm gonna try to get it through another year. And so I know that vehicle came from the constable's office. So if I could get 3 vehicles, like from other offices or whatever, that would work even better.
You take a truck?
Oh, yeah. So the environmental.
They have 2 trucks now, don't you?
Yeah, the environmental specialist doesn't need, like, right now she's driving around one of the deputy fire marshal trucks. She doesn't need a truck like that. The reason I put 70 is because I went and priced like a Ford Maverick, a 4-wheel drive Ford Maverick, white stock, and they were about 30,000.
Well, the reason I've asked, I got a truck, it's our old foreman truck. It's got a lot of miles on it. But for part-time, I mean, it'll work.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so I was just asking to take a truck.
Yeah, I would just need to mark it up, you know, just putting a fire marshal's decal on there, but for the inspectors and stuff like that, because I'm not hiring any more law enforcement necessarily.
This is a 3/4 ton four-wheel drive GMC.
So, but you'd also need, what, each vehicle would need a mobile radio, or would you just use a portable radio?
Portable for now.
Okay,
Judge, I put it down as, needing county funds so they could do Neon on that, if that's
okay,
sufficient.
that would be fine.
But I've been working on that thing I sent you
Right.
last night and added a civil fire marshal's position for the full-time environmental specialist. And that included the full exchange, the level 2 8x8. Standard laptop, maybe move that to a law enforcement, is that gonna be in the car?
I would like it, I would like
Yeah.
for them to be in the card, so it would make it a lot. The system that I'm talking about, the fire marshal system, usually that comes with like an iPad, so that when you go in there and you're doing your inspections, you're doing it real time. Right now, we don't have a system, we're working on Word and Excel. So with this new system, I would have an iPad, when I do my inspection and I hit upload, it automatically uploads.
And there's specific software designed to be used on the iPad for the
Yes, sir.
inspections.
It'd be, what'd you say the sheriff's office uses?
So that's.
So Southern Software, it'd be similar to that, but it's a hybrid because it's got law enforcement and fire marshal stuff on it.
So I kind of set it up like a desk user with the monitors. If we did a laptop, we do the documentation, we do a laptop that goes in the car. First net phone, yeah, for that. One-time cost of $21.50 and an annual recurring of $847. On the part-time, or it sounds like you're wanting to be similarly outfitted,
Yes, sir.
but for your part-time, seems like they wouldn't all be working at the same time, if they use the same docking station.
Yeah, use a shared computer.
They could use a shared computer.
Um,
'Cause my
It'd
plan,
actually be a shared iPad.
Share vehicle, share.
Mm-hmm.
But I was gonna look at, if you're gonna have a vehicle, might as well have a regular laptop mounted in the vehicle that just stays in there. What do you think that would be?
I don't like that idea just from the fact that it can get broken into and stolen.
yeah, like the laptop that I have, it's not like, I think mine is more rugged, it has a handle. I take mine with me. So that's what I would prefer.
Well,
I use it-
more having that in the truck vehicles. Always get rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you think it'd be parked out there and not have residents like the deputies vehicles are either at the residence or at the sheriff's office,
Mm-hmm.
pretty safe locations, but
Yeah, I don't.
it's gonna be different.
Also, you have designated funds, correct?
What do you mean designated funds?
The fire marshal, there's certain fees that, when you collect it.
Oh, yeah, the fire
only you can
fees.
spend it.
Yes, sir. The
And,
fire code.
and you have a bank of money in there.
Yes, sir.
You're aware of that?
Yeah, but that didn't start until I think March of this year is when I brought it up to the auditor's office and we created the line item and got everything
Okay,
sorted out on that. Yes, sir.
so I thought there was some already in there
No,
from the
sir.
product, okay. I want to ask you about postage.
Yes, sir.
I was concerned that, you've only spent $14 this year.
Yes, sir.
So is Michelle coming down and using the big machine up here? Or are you buying, well, my concern is either you're not mailing stuff out or that, if the postage machine down here is being used, it's not being charged to the right department.
Okay.
That's what my concern is. Because you should be, you're sending out reminder notices or,
We're not right now. Because again, just because you get a letter, if you don't answer that letter within a certain amount of time, then somebody, like one of us should be knocking on your door.
mhm.
Right now, I don't have those people. If I get the people and we can do mailings first, and then if you're supposed to reply within 14 days, on day 15, you don't reply, you should have someone knocking on your door. That's what this.
So you're not using mail to try to get people into compliance because you have no way of enforcing it.
Yeah,
That
it was just, we weren't getting, and then I'm just talking to Michelle and people that have been here longer than us, when they did mailings, there was no benefit to it. It's kind of a waste.
Mhm.
Because they also get mailings from whoever installed and gave them their initial contract, they get a 90-day, a 60-day, and a 30-day mailing from the contractor as well. Now,
Mhm.
they don't have to go with that contractor, they can choose somebody else,
Right.
but realistically, they're just not
Choosing anybody.
choosing him.
But if they don't renew with that contractor and that contractor doesn't follow up, then they're not paying anybody,
Yes, sir.
correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Uh. All right. What else? Did you have any item? We're getting close to the constable's time.
Yeah, so one of the asterisks down there was autopsy and forensic science. So I've had, I think, 6 autopsies done, and I haven't gotten any bills for those.
The county pays for the autopsy.
All right, so I still did put,
That's more forensic science, I believe.
yeah. So the 25 I had in there, that's gonna pick up because when I do want to have stuff tested for flammable gases, or when we start, when I get my people certified to take soil and water samples to see if it's polluted from something, they're able to go out and we're able to get that tested.
Mhm. So, yeah, autopsies at a minimum 2,100, and then the delivery to the place is another $600. So you're looking at 26 to $3,500.
So do I need to put that in my budget or
No.
not?
Now, most of them are done by the JP. I mean, they're the ones that send them off. You haven't actually sent them off, have you?
So no, so far, every time the JP has met me out
Okay.
there and given me the paperwork to get them sent off.
Okay.
And then they had telephone, but I had nothing on my budget. I hadn't received any bills, so I didn't know if that just needed to go
No,
off.
that shouldn't be there.
And then I had,
What about your travel? It hadn't been eating there in 3 years.
Well, they didn't budget.
yeah, that's gonna pick up because we haven't been doing training, like you can see right now. Can you move the cursor up right now? Move the cursor up, like we've still got $3,400 left in training. We were never able to go to training because we were so busy.
Right.
We couldn't take off to go do training. So as training picks up, travel will pick up.
Mhm. And then, I don't know if you line up the fuel and lubricants. Where's the bus?
The bus is on repair and
There it
maintenance.
is. Do we need to move that over to emergency management? Would you prefer that to occur, or do you want to continue in?
I don't have an opinion of one way or another. Once I got the proper paperwork to the auditor's office saying that you were able to sign off on it,
Right.
I haven't gotten it
Okay.
since, and it's been working pretty much the same.
Okay. So that's where it's in the fire marshal, but actually it's emergency management's responsibility, and it causes a problem when it's in his budget because emergency management can't approve it, even though they're responsible for it. So
When you say that 15,000 is the bus.
Yes.
I mean,
that's for upgrades and repairs. We spent 12,000 last year getting it completely maintained, as far as everything, all the fluids changed, new tires, in drivable condition, new batteries, and also having one new air conditioning unit in. We'll probably put another 10,000 in it this year for a second new air conditioning unit, and other potential.
So if there's 10,000 just on an AC, that would need to go up.
No, it's not, AC is not 10,000.
Okay.
It's about 3, I think, 2 or 3.
I hope it. Gee.
Yeah.
That's what you just said is 10. I thought that's what you said.
A
You said
10
air conditioned and
and other,
Okay.
there may be issues with the generator at some point in time that we may need to replace it. So it's a 99 model, and it doesn't get utilized very much. We do intend to take it down to a Maybank in September for an event that Kaufman County is putting on. So, really once the radio system gets up and running and we get it outfitted for that, we'll start taking it around places. So, all right.
And then the other thing down there at the bottom was office equipment. There was 1,000 in there. I don't know. I have office supplies up at the top.
well, if you get new employees, you're gonna need office equipment.
Yeah, I didn't know, does that come out of my budget or,
That's your,
oh, that's chairs and desks and stuff?
that's your,
Yeah, it's not really,
that's not your IT. but that's-
Oh, okay. Then I guess I would need that.
in desks, things like that. We gotta have a place to put them too.
So,
So,
yeah. it's good.
okay. Anything else? Anybody, any questions? Cause we're,
Good to see you, sir. You're doing a great job.
So, well, I didn't know, I wanted to come in now because I knew mine was a little bit more complex than everybody else's. So do you still want me to come back tomorrow at 11?
no,
good.
no, we're good. Thank you for
Thank
doing
you for your
that.
time.
I do need to, are we still on for this afternoon?
No, sir, it was to go over this unless you want me to.
Well, I need to talk to you,
Yes, sir.
but, you don't have to come in. We just talk on the phone.
Okay,
Okay,
sounds good.
all right.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yes, sir, thank you.
You gonna be solo, Bob?
Jeff on the lake, I hadn't heard from Kenny, but Tommy had more today.
Guess you're the one who did one.
And then so.
Why did it seem, I was looking on the spreadsheet trying to do the cost for.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
You went up on this list, I wasn't sure.
See if he's still.
Water guns. Water guns. That little folks. No, the fire marshal?
Yes.
Yeah, right now.
Most miscellaneous one.
That's in there. I was gonna ask you.
Trying to decide.
Okay.
You're gonna use that card, but me.
Okay.
Haven't done that yet.
Well, come on.
Heard it enough to know about anything. I'm gonna do it one time, so I can learn that.
Okay, all right, I'll let you know. Commissioner Corbin. All right. Bye. He's coming, he's running behind. Did Tommy turn one in? He didn't come to our meeting.
Yes, he did. You wanna look at it while we're waiting?
Okay.
He pretty much, I think it's pretty much everything was the same,
Yeah. pretty much.
except for. He actually went down on fuel. I'm so proud of him. He's actually taking time, personal time. He's not living his life. He's living, no. Well, he lives to work for the county. And he wasn't taking any days off.
I knew that.
And,
Well, and you know, he lost his dad and he had some health problems.
yeah,
Then he had the flu.
yeah. So I'm very proud. The last 2 months, he's been taking time off for himself. And, I think it's good for him. It'll help him in the long run. So he went down, on the fuel and,
I have the Tommy uses Topsync and I do have a ticket for him, but we don't know how this is gonna work with Topsync because we don't support Topsync.
yeah. Well,
So is he gonna get with it?
can they not have both CopSync and Southern Software?
Good, but you can use both.
Yeah, I use both different things.
Do you use your ticket printer? No, you haven't had been
He
installed.
doesn't have.
Yeah,
I think I have them for you.
yeah, but I'll be able to tell you.
But you have to use it with Topsync. I mean, if you want to work on the integration, just use it with Topsync, you have to hardware.
So I, before I realized that I was informed that we had, I bought my own. So so in both my personal and the county's truck, I have them in there, but, I'm in rotation for, truck, so we'll know here soon for, when we'll put it in the current vehicle or anything.
You know, the hardware add-on to it, with those states and T-Rex, but they don't you want them. On which they can't get it on the software and the. you can't use a sticker printer, they can't use Southern because it's. Somebody lost his US agency, or a guy. Kilpatrick and Jones are working on that with him. Yeah, I can figure that out. If you get your agency TLS through your pump sync, that's considered your terminal, right?
Well, I can use, TLEDs on both, the NDIS and one. Obviously, you have to keep it up, I mean, you have to do.
Right. They've got your ORI on the NDIS.
Yeah, yeah,
It's also in, but he doesn't have. Jeff doesn't have that, but no,
Well, and I wonder if they ever had,
I don't know.
because I can guarantee you Robert never used it.
It's possible not.
Uh,
Well, I think if they have pump sync, they have to have, it,
That's probably.
right, because that's yeah, it's considered a TLS.
You know,
Uh-huh.
and you don't have to do all the audit stuff.
You need
And
markers?
I know that they did all of it, but when they did just, I realized doing any of that and it just kind of put it off, I guess.
Yeah.
And I would needs to do that. I don't, that's got the sheriff's office working with mine.
And,
That's outside IT.
yeah, I know, and that's like, I needed Jeff Jones to, figure out why I can't. Upload or download, I can't view or upload, files to RMS. On either my desktop or the laptop.
No, maybe the.
Okay.
So, yeah, I mean, you have to use, I know you have to do that, because that's what stores.
Well, I use the VPN to connect both places. Right. Yeah, and, but I think that I put in a ticket for it.
People losing your authentication as well, because you have to have a so authentication. Which you really should, as you keep putting with the possibility.
Yeah, I mean, I had the same sign, but that's,
But if it's lost, it should be grown, decided, but you wrote it.
I don't know, it said something about a file path issue, but.
That's your.
Can we move on to budget stuff?
Sorry.
That's okay.
Scott.
All right, you want to give us an update on your budget?
All right, so, Jeff and Heath are coming, so if you don't mind, we'll move, when they're here, we can come back and talk about, salary question, but in the second, third section are individualized for our agencies. Although we did try to synchronize our, fuel, across the board. None of us have, county provided, tasers, vests, or weapons. Now, we have scrounged or, bought our own, tasers, but the tasers that we have are the X-26, which is, no longer supported. The batteries are, how they update the firmware. The cartridges are no longer made. The sheriff's office had some stuff left over that they shared with us last year. But in the not too distant future, we won't be able to buy batteries. We won't be able to buy cartridges, and the batteries will fail probably before we run out of cartridges. I talked to Taser, and they given me a quote, and it was between 1,000 and 1,100. It's a 5-year contract situation for the latest and greatest. That includes certification and training. The batteries are rechargeable. It comes with 2 batteries, and if you expend a cartridge, they replace that at no additional cost. The last, I talked with them several times, and they got us below $1,000. I believe it was above $950, but it was less than $1,000. It's a 5-year program, so.
I mean, one,
Well, so each person needs one. We put in the budget for each constable. So we're talking about $4,000 a year for 5 years for four constables. Now,
$1,000 precinct.
$1,000 precinct. If we were to do anything in addition to that, then we would need to
So they're thousand a year?
start 1,000 a year
A
for
year.
5 years.
So is it a service?
So
Provided
it's a contract situation.
Okay,
So once you did it, we would do it together, but we each budgeted separately. We didn't put it in one budget. So if we're
Right.
talking about $20,000 over 5 years for the 4 of us.
So we don't actually own the tasers. It's kind of like a cell phone.
Oh, no, we would own the equipment. The equipment would be ours. Once the program got past the 5 years, we would retain the equipment and so on. It's just that then we would have to pay for cartridges.
Okay.
We would have to pay to replace batteries and so on from that point forward. But you know, it depends upon what we could either renew a contract, we could either get the latest and greatest or whatever it is. But during that time period, they're gonna service it. If you use it, they replace the cartridges.
It's like a warranty.
Yes, I mean, you know, I guess it's like anything else. They're saying, well, this is how much it is. We're gonna put you on a payout program, but it comes with virtual reality training, certification for the user, the training, darts, and then the device holds 10 cartridges. It's capable of engaging 5 targets simultaneously. Yeah, at a range of 45 feet, which exceeds the stuff that we have now. And now, of course, and I asked them, you know, well, what's the average deployment? It's like, well, they're saying it's 2.5 per target. So you probably are not actually going to engage 5 targets simultaneously.
You hope not.
Well, you hope you don't have to.
Yeah.
But, you know, if you did, then they would all get to ride together. And so if you engaged one and then engaged another one, well, the first guy gets to go with the second one again. Which we hope that doesn't happen. We all together talked about it. There are other options that fall under less lethal. But we don't care for those options. The sheriff's office is using a pepper ball situation. While OC spray has its place, but in confined areas, then that comes back on us and presents a safety issue for us that may not actually diffuse the situation. We all are experienced and trained on the taser, and I think. Sir?
He said he was looking to get this.
Well, I hope he.
The sheriff's department is.
Yeah, sheriff's office.
Yeah, because I mean, I did taser and then I did the pepper ball when I was there, and pepper ball, you shoot them right here, and I'm just not very comfortable popping somebody right
Yeah.
here with any type of a projectile
Yeah.
that could possibly put an
Mhm.
eye out or something and then bring liability on ourselves. I know, I'm sorry I'm late. We were doing arraignments at the jail, but I've carried a taser for years, and we are outdated with the ones we're carrying, the newer ones, but it stops. I don't know how many times I have not had to bore my taser. But the minute you put the dot on them, normally they'll stop. I had one so high on methamphetamine, he was out of his head, but he knew what that dot meant. And a big boy, and he turned around, I cuffed him up. Several, I mean, it's a,
You
and,
gotta have it.
I mean, it's something that really will de-escalate, because you need to have that force continuing. You go from empty hand, you don't wanna go from empty hand to a gun. You know what I'm saying? I mean, firearms, so it really has its benefits.
But I'd like to see us work with the sheriff's office, see what we can do, maybe get a better
Better
deal.
quote.
And also, I'm sure there's grants available for these things. You know, so need to do some research on that, but, in that regard.
I think each constable needs to, tase their commissioner, just so that we know what it's.
I'm off of
That's
that.
the one thing I've never taken the
I
tape.
think that would fall under training. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
My vote is for.
But I mean, I agree that, if the sheriff's office decided to do that, then the bulk purchase would probably be cheaper, but I think that this is the Taser 10.
Taser
the
10,
the
okay.
latest and greatest. With or without the sheriff's office, we would like to proceed.
Right, okay.
So in the same line item there, as far as Constable Precinct 4, the county does not own a bullet resistant vest or a weapon, a service weapon. So now I'm gonna be able to do some of that on this year's budget. Now I think that I've expended some law enforcement supplies, but I think that there will be enough money that I can probably buy a vest on this year's budget.
As big as you are, your vest may cost $3,500.
Well, I priced it. My vest is a 2011. It's my own personal vest, and I talked with Savari Land representative, and a vest, a level 2 vest, which is not a rifle vest, but a level 2 vest, would run me about $900.
You say you talking about.
Yes. Yeah, vest for me.
Normal size.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
normal
he's-
size. Small size, a small size vest, but I told him I was on the kind of smaller side, but he would get about $900 for a vest, and I'm the same way. I'm thinking I'm gonna try to get that out of this year and on line item transfer. I wanted to get with him.
Y'all gotta have those.
Do that. Because he said after a number of years, they start breaking down. I asked him down and I said, mine's 2011. He's like, probably won't even work.
Yeah.
But with all the new rules by TCLO, at some point, they're gonna be checking that, checking dates and checking.
Because they're only supposed to be good for 5 years.
Yes.
And the judge is gonna say we're looking to grant for that, but there is, right, Judge?
There is.
Well, I think that happened.
There should be.
Also, private donation too.
I see the city, I go to city council meetings and I know the city, police, apply for grants for the vests. So I'll just have to look.
So with everything else, the cost has gone up, so we adjusted our fuel to be together. I haven't spent my postage yet, but I will. The ink and toner has gone up. And that is why my office supplies is a little bit higher.
If you're gonna spend your postage, do it before July 13th because it goes up a nickel.
Yeah.
So if you buy 4 over stamps, get them before July 13th.
Okay, yeah, I will do that then. I will make that happen. I don't know what I'm at so far. I just recently started buying uniforms and the shirts and pants. It's just ridiculous. The fuel and auto maintenance. Not sure about. I know that fuel's up 20 cents a gallon this week, but I'm gonna have to have. I think the set of tires that I've got are gonna last into the next budget, and then I'll end up with 2 sets in the next budget. If I can, in fact, my truck's in the shop right now. But as soon as I see how that plays out, then I'll know whether I'm gonna, whatever I have left, I'll try and buy some tires on to right at the end. not too late, but I mean, try to,
Right.
use what's on this year's budget.
Did they do fuel at the sheriff's office? Or and all that?
I don't know.
Yeah, we have the same cards.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're not gonna have to pay the 20 cent state tax on that anymore. So your fuel may not have to go up because.
But we're not sure how the mechanics of that work yet. We don't know if it's gonna be getting that back after it's spent or.
Oh,
Yeah, that's what I don't understand, when the dollar amount, if it's taken off at the, or does it come off later, but.
Well,
Most likely we'll have to submit to the comptroller's office to get a
Yeah,
refund
refund.
for what's been spent.
I'm not sure how that works. I mean, the county should never have had to pay fuel tax. I mean,
This legislative session, they changed that.
okay.
Good.
Used to, I know, I mean, years ago,
Counties were not exempt.
Really?
The volunteer fire departments are, and schools are. There's just certain entities that got the exemption, but counties never.
well, I don't
That's because we
think,
never asked for it
yeah,
until now.
well, it'd be great, but of course, as far as our budget's concerned, I believe that our deductions are coming, at the pump price from our budget. I hope that the county saves money but I don't know how that gets tagged. That's above my pay grade.
Well, I think that the way that will work typically has been that we have to send receipts and.
They
Yeah.
just refund.
Yeah.
We turn our receipts in directly to the treasurer's office.
Well, actually, I don't know if we do because we have the card is on a program and we get a report
That's helpful.
that shows, how many gallons and don't you have to put mileage in?
We
Yeah,
put
yeah.
mileage, I do my.
When you
monthly
go to
report
fill
with
up, they have to put in what the mileage.
Yeah, the
is.
mileage on the receipt, so it'll show the odometer reading, that you have. It doesn't actually show you the mileage from last, but it'll show your odometer reading,
Right.
odometer reading, location, and the dollar amount. And then we take all of those and put them on a paper and,
Mhm.
turn them into Irma there to say, and then on my monthly report, I put the dollar amount. on
Right.
that.
So, I'm in the line for, a new vehicle this year. And, so I went to, Jeremy and he put me in touch with the radio salesman. And, I had to pull over and see if I could get my chin back up to where it belonged after I read the email. With a 45% discount, the radio was over $8,000. With a 45% discount
Right.
for the Harris equipment.
Well, you chose the top of the line in a tri-band.
No. No.
Okay.
And so,
And you're talking a mobile radio.
mobile, I didn't even ask about a handheld. Cause I mean, I think I've got a handheld coming whenever the system comes online, but so, the video system is the next, question to that. So you got an $8,000 radio I mean, that's just something else. I mean, the Motorola radio was substantially cheaper, than the Harris in that situation. Now I'm waiting on their number, but it's gonna be below what the Harris radio was with the 45% discount. So I'll have to wait and see. The video system, the last time I talked to Scott about that, our county cost us $12,000 for the current stuff. So, now I can buy, used equipment, that matches what we're using now and that, would be cheaper, but, I went with I can't find a Tahoe. It's not black and white. And that does not fit into my.
Are you getting a police interceptor version?
Yeah, the police pack, I'm only looking at police package.
Okay.
So I didn't even get a price on the Tahoe, which would have been my first choice, but, I believe that they were, in the $60,000 range. Now, the Ford pickup truck is fortunately not a V8, but, it's my understanding that it's, adequate in the V6 turbocharged, whatever it is. But it's the cheapest pickup truck in a police package. And by the time you outfit it and then add, another $20,000 worth of electronics in just two items, I do not think that it's going to be that much. I think it will be less than that. But I started 2 months ago trying to get the quotes together, and it's difficult. I didn't get the
The last Tahoe we bought was $73,000.
okay, so then the pickup truck is for sure cheaper. And I think that the Ford is the cheapest of the two. And it shouldn't take that long to get it. I'd like to be able to get the contractor to start gathering the equipment in advance, so that we're not stretched out a freaking year trying to get equipment to service. The office equipment I put down there is the same as last year. I am 2/3 of the way through an upgrade to my archive storage for phone dumps. What it is I'm upgrading the memory, and those are almost $500 a hard drive. So I've gotten two.
You pretty well service the whole county,
Oh, yes, sir.
correct? All agencies.
Yeah, anybody who comes to me. I mean,
As far as doing the pulling data off phones.
Yes, and that includes Rains County, DPS. I've done some FBI stuff. I've done some ATF stuff. If they call, then I'll take care of it. Which is what the program with Secret Service was designed. So that office supply will not be constant past this next year, because that should increase my storage for some time to come. Secret Service provided the server, and it had 18 terabytes in it, and I'm getting pretty close to that, already, and I've only had it.
You don't dump it off?
Sir?
You don't dump off what you downloaded
No.
or archive it somewhere?
No, because I don't necessarily get dispositions on those, because they're not all mine, all my cases. My cases I would know, but like Rains County, the stuff that I'm currently doing for the sheriff's office, stuff I've done for DPS, ATF, and others, FBI, I don't know when those cases get squared away. And so I have the archive of everything, because you never know whether it, are they going to appeal? Will it come into question? Sometimes it takes years for those to go through the process. So
Right.
I don't purge those.
Okay.
I understand what you're saying there.
But you do have them archived somewhere else, right? Okay.
Well, no, they're archived strictly in my office.
Okay.
It's not attached to the internet. It's not, I mean, it's isolated. It's because you're talking about child sexual abuse material, keep that pretty tight.
Okay.
Then so the JP office there in Ben Wheeler, we have some issues there. What I haven't put down is bullet resistant glass along the front of the building. I wasn't able to find a quote for that. I mean, it's not like you can just call anybody and get that quote. So I don't have a quote for the bullets, but all three of the plate glass windows along the front of the building have received shots from either is 22 to pellet or BB guns. I mean, one of the panes is cracked from the top to the bottom and meets where the projectile came through the window. And then there's two plate glass doors there. One of them is directly into the courtroom. So
Where do you have that?
it's not on there. So I don't know what that cost is, and I know
We talked one time here about a film Yeah. I don't know if that's adequate for
I don't,
both sides.
well, and considering that the glass has already received impact on the plate glass.
Yeah, I think that need to be replaced first. It's already on.
I would agree, and I would think that we would go to the higher, I know that there is a film. And it's made for,
Well, no, if you're gonna be replacing the plane, that's all.
yes, I just don't know what that is and.
Who owns those? Still gonna have it.
We do.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that's the way it's made, but, so I would like to see the JP office receive an upgrade in regards to that. And then there's, plate glass windows between the lobby and the clerks and the judge. In addition to that, the tax assessment collector has a single camera in there to watch, their till and their customers. But the rest of the building is, without surveillance. I did talk to the, and I can't remember his name off the top of my head. but-
Michael Turner?
Yeah, I did get a quote from him, for 8 cameras. That would include the exterior, of the building in a couple, 2 or 3 locations. And then I have an evidence room there, and then, my office. My office, is access, and I know some of y'all haven't been there, but my office is access through the lobby. So you can come in the front door, and if I'm there, the door's usually open, they can come right into my office. Now, I have not had difficulty there, but, I have concerns about being in my part of the building where, the rest of the folks there, they don't hear the conversations going on. As an example, I had a female come into my office, early this week asking for help on an issue. But, I can't, even if I had a body camera on, I couldn't activate it fast enough to be able to capture the entirety of the conversation. And so I have.
Sorry, you get audio as well.
Yes, and I asked him, we would have it on a switch
I
where.
know, because that's difficult, there's liability issues on that.
That's my concern. Now, Pat in the past had problems like that where, an agitator had come into the office and verbally, was abusive toward him, and it does present an issue there. I mean, so I would like to ask for a system, where it records video all the time and then on demand the audio. We're right there at the crossroads in Ben Wheeler, and I feel like that, the external cameras on the back of the building and the front would be helpful. We actually experienced earlier this year, a theft right next door to our office in broad daylight. And, I mean, there was no video in town, of that, but I just, the gall of somebody to steal, something from the back of the building next door while we were probably at the office.
I don't know about the audio portion, but I know we had the same problem at the barn, and we just went to Amazon. I think we got 5 cameras, 5 or 6. And my guy just set it up, put it up, and they're sitting, when you sit there, something happens that night, you can rewind it, I mean, y'all know all that stuff, but it may be cheaper just to go get like a package for that. And I'm not saying for the audio of it, but for the outside surveillance.
So I don't disagree that there is a cheaper way to, to do some of that stuff, but that is, effectively 100% of the time collected and then, accessible.
Isn't there some courthouse security funds from the JP court? JP courts? Is it available to do that?
I've used some of that fund when we put up a protective window for our clerks, so there, I don't know what the balance is.
I asked, I didn't write it down, but I had asked. And there's a lot of unbudgeted funds in there. Just that I've given you,
Okay.
that it's 018510. Still be used for the, panic button, upgrade, we need to upgrade your panic button system, your Sure, it's something we can talk about it, but.
Yeah.
We have upgraded, JP ones already out of that. We could. It's one of those things, it doesn't have, it probably needs to increase budgeted amount, because there's funds that aren't budgeted.
Okay.
We could use that for. I think you probably use that for your last one. I don't know.
I would think so, but,
So
I
is there,
think they're both.
you got video on 3?
I've got, from registration office, we've got video of our lobby and it shoots a hallway where my office is, but we were gonna talk to you about getting access to it. Where we can see, like this morning I had an alarm where I can dial into it and see what's going on before I enter the building, and so.
Is
Or
it,
get into it. where we
is
can
it the
get
TAC
in.
office's camera?
Yes, it's registration cameras, so they
So-
go up in the lobby, it shows our lobby. And it shows the hallway down, so.
Okay.
Which is what we have also, although
Right.
our office setup is just her, the lady's workstation. And probably captures some of the lobby there, but it doesn't capture any of the rest of it. Now, Judge Shin is, of course, he's not a court of record, and so he doesn't want that in his courtroom or his office, et cetera. It's like, no objection there, but I'd like for my offices and my evidence room.
Be under surveillance.
And I'd like to see the front of the building have a couple of things.
If we could do that for you, it would be better for that, just so you can have the audio.
I would like that.
Yeah.
But, it would, anybody who needed it, but. Just anyway, anytime we have video is more better than anything else.
Right.
So a couple of budgetary items, I'd like to ask that, the county try to move toward a 2-to-1 retirement.
I'm sorry?
A 2-to-1 retirement for.
Okay.
employees. I don't know if that's something that y'all discuss, but I'd like to urge you to move there and competitive with the surrounding counties and areas.
Brought up their day too.
Yeah. It was discussed last budget and,
Yeah.
I got calculations on what it would cost,
Yeah, I mean, everything's related to money. I would just.
right.
So I asked them this question, I'll ask you the same thing. Would you rather have up to 2-to-1 retirement or a raise? You have a choice.
Well, certainly, both are important. The retirement's a long run and the salary's a short term. I think that when we talk about salary, I think that there would be, some qualifying questions for me, but I'm not. We'll end up getting there sooner or later. I would just like for y'all to discuss it.
Okay.
In addition to that, not my department, but it affects us all. It seems that the county's credit card has an extraordinarily low limit that seems to cause problems, not only for myself, but for others.
Yeah, I had to wait for 2 weeks to get my mowing tractor going.
I'm sorry, sir.
The credit card you're talking about? Yeah, I had to wait 2 weeks for a little part that I could buy for $300 on Amazon compared to $1,750, which,
That
2 weeks doesn't seem like much, but it seemed like a long time.
That's
waiting on this.
that's exactly, and I don't know how that works. I don't know if y'all have to make a vote to raise the limit, but I would hope that y'all could perhaps discuss and address that, because it causes problems not only for the department heads, but it certainly does
It's
for.
embarrassing when you're traveling and you check out of the hotel and you've got 3 rooms you've got to pay for, and
Yeah.
you're denied. And then I trip on my credit card because I've got Zandt there, we're checking out.
Right.
And so,
Well, and frankly, I mean, even though there are some vendors that we're set up with where you can make purchases, and that tends to be, Kenny's question is, where can you get it where you don't use that? It's like, well, there are some instances where you might be able to do that, but it's substantially more expensive, I think, from a fiscal responsibility standpoint. I've waited sometimes a month or 6 weeks, and I don't have a problem waiting, but.
This is like the current stuff too, if you have.
Okay, we'll address it.
Sure.
We'll address it.
Thank you. So, if, since there's three of the four of us here, we're going to return to, salaries. I don't know what y'all thought of in regards to cost of living. I think that we had, seen an increase in inflation in cost of living and, we don't want to be greedy. We just would like to ask for an increase that we think is,
And what would you like that increase to be?
to
What
59.
percent is that?
I'm sorry, sir.
What percent is that?
I didn't even run the percentage.
I think it's a little less than 5%, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's gonna be 1.5.
Oh, is it?
It's not quite been
So what are we're at 58,817,
55.
55,817. It's gonna be like, that's like 9%. Yeah.
Yeah, 5,500 would be.
Oh, it's nearly 10%.
9%, wouldn't
I mean, it's a little, it's like 9.38%. So obviously, there's only a single income source for the county, but we would like to see that realized. When you run the average for full-time elected commission, constables in the state, that's about right. There are some constables, especially down in Deep East Texas, where they're not full-time and those salaries are reported like they're full-time, but they actually work for the sheriff's office full-time or a local police department full-time, and then they serve the function as a constable in the areas where they live. And that's why they accept less money as compared to other law enforcement agencies here that have similar size and responsibilities and the substantial less. Would like to ask for that. Constable Burton and myself would like to ask for a part-time deputy. That would be in line with the same salary, only broke down on a 24-hour-a-week type situation. You would be talking about roughly 12 days a month for them. My court, my JP court, since the beginning of the fiscal year has run 158 civil, 16 truancy. He handles most of the truancy in the county. As y'all know, he run in the youth diversion. They've had 50 cases. While I don't have to sit in on much of the youth diversion, there are some circumstances in which some of those young people are not easy to get along with. We've seen our evictions increase as well. So we're seeing the increases. And
In the civil caseload, you don't include your evictions, which are civil cases.
so the evictions are there in the filings, but the evictions set out because I serve all of them.
Yeah.
And just since the beginning of the year, I was like 39 evictions. And some of those take multiple trips out there. And then you have to do it around the court's schedule. We're constitutionally required to be in the courtroom if the judge is in there. There are some instances when that's not necessary, like if you've got a 15-year-old that received a ticket, he has to appear in person to enter his plea. But that doesn't mean that he's violent or anything. Now, we have seen some outbursts in court here recently from people who can't seem to contain themselves, which is what we're there for. We have had a relaxed attitude around precinct 4 currently and for as long as I can recall. But what we, and y'all know, I mean, as our population increases and people come from other places to live here, they don't necessarily share our morals or ethics. And, even a local person, experiencing difficulty in their life could easily, find violence as their, avenue for solving a problem and then in the office. Judge Shin is careful not to, put himself in a position of being paid, but, at the same time, he's open to receiving the public to discuss things, but there's a safety and security issue there. Even though, I believe that he could take care of himself in a physical altercation, it does not mean that, somebody is not willing to, reach out to a higher level of violence than fisticuffs. Because that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about somebody who comes into the office with a gun despite the posting, despite my presence.
Scott, do they have multiple panic buttons down there?
I believe so.
Oh,
I
maybe so.
believe there's one dedicated to the courtroom and one. I think there's two in our courtroom and at the front door.
I would have.
Or at the desk door. I think in Ben Wheeler, it's always the courtroom. I have to look it up to make sure, but I think the one in the courtroom, vehicle restoration has one, Tina has one. And I believe there's one in the judge's office, though, like, I'm not 100% sure.
I'm not sure at all, where the panic buttons are. And I'm not near as concerned about that. I mean, help would be a long way away for us, but, primarily the point being is that as the workload increased, we spread ourselves thinner.
You don't have a municipal TV.
Right, yeah, I mean, I mean, that's exactly the point. I mean, our help is gonna be 10-15 minutes at the lowest. Unless there happens to be a trooper or a deputy just happens to be in the area. In some cases, when the sheriff's office calls me to help them, they're typically a long way away. I've seen some of them put the projected response time at 50 minutes. And they stopped what they were doing to start down there. Because they were further away. And while that's not, a singular determining factor, in my opinion, my point is that as we see our population continue to increase, we see our workload, continuing to increase. And we also have to increase our ability to provide, distributed services. And that benefits not just strictly the JP Court, my office, it also, increases assistance to the sheriff's office. And so on. While it may be difficult to find a full-time qualified person to work full-time at the sheriff's office in patrol, it's not impossible for us to find part-time or even full-time deputy constables. Because of the difference in the job and the diversity in what it is that we do. Now, it's an investment. However, we've been able to, the other constables have been able to retain their depreciated vehicles, and so it's not such a huge investment on the initial. If we start somewhere, and I believe that the part-time deputy in 2 of the 4 precincts is a reasonable approach. Or even perhaps a singular full-time that shares responsibilities between the constable. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but the part-time in each of the precinct 2 and precinct 4 seem reasonable to us.
So you'd be willing to share a deputy between precincts?
If it was a full-time one, I mean, absolutely.
We even said that last year or year before when we come in, that if 2 got one, they could share with 3, 4 got one, they could share with 1. They could both go back and forth. We did bring that up last year, but the year before.
But we all work everywhere. Jeff's been down in my precinct, so is Tommy, and so is he. we all are going to end up out of town at some point in time, and we do help each other out. But if we start somewhere, we just have to start somewhere.
Does anyone of y'all have part-time?
Deputy.
No,
Yeah,
we have
volunteer.
reserve,
We
yeah.
have reserves, but we have no pay, so they can come in, they just come in for free and do, I mean, who wants to get shot at for free, don't want?
But so none of y'all four have a part-time?
No,
Not a part-time.
Volunteer.
Reserve, but he helps me with my city stuff. He doesn't patrol.
You don't have a reserve anymore, do you, Bob?
I have Pat and his son in my reserves, but they're both working full-time.
Right.
Other places, and so while they do help, you know, you can't count on when they're having to
Right.
work their job is the point. You know, if I needed something at night or in the evening on the weekend, something like that, then yeah, absolutely. Pat, Pat helped me earlier this year when I was out of town, serving my papers, but it's more than just that. The court deserves to be bailiff. And when you get so many things going on at one time, that would be ideal.
And on another full-time spot, also, you could open up the Attorney General papers. That we can serve them, and that's all over the county, you just get them and you disperse them over the county, they pay you. Your office.
66% of our posted service fee, the attorney, now I've had one Attorney General paper, but at one time, Pat and I were doing quite a few. We were doing 30 or 40 a month at one time in the past. The Attorney General can dump some papers on you.
You said 66%.
Yeah, the state only pays 66% of your posted citation or writ.
Okay,
So if you served a summons or a subpoena to an individual for child support, as an example, and our posted rate is $100, you have to bill the state $66 for that service, and they will pay it, and if you take somebody to jail on Attorney General child support warrant, that counts as a writ. When it's $200, they'll pay 66% of that. If you take somebody to jail, but you have to stop and bill it. And that's probably, you're probably not gonna bill one at a time, you're probably gonna bill, you're accumulating.
I see them in the returns, so.
Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, you can do
Yeah.
that, but,
Then you gotta keep up with it, see if they pay you.
But as all you know, the way that this stuff goes, we're getting more and more evictions, more and more small claims where people are not paying their rent, not paying their bills.
Yeah.
So, and we're having to serve more and more of them. Just got another one, just got a while ago, for equipment services, these farmers. People are going out and calling these people to come out and fix their equipment, tractors, and they're not able to pay it, so these people are still on small claims.
well, and small claims is, through the roof, post COVID. I mean, so many of these 158 civil cases are credit cards. Now, I don't know where the rest of the courts stand on that, but we're the closest court to Tyler, where the majority of these companies, they hire an attorney just to appear to push their cases forward. Well, so they end up they can file them in any court, but they file them in Judge Shin's court because it's the closest to Tyler. I mean, you'll see attorneys come in there that you've never seen before, never heard of them. And that's not the point, but technically, if the judge is sitting in court, we're supposed to be there.
I'm gonna get 5 or 10 a week of line murder. Text that to serve. And you gotta make 3 attempts before you send it back. And it might be 22 miles one way. From our office, and you gotta get 3 before you can send it back or get a 106 or an alternate service, but they just want you to send it back to them and then send it back. I don't think I've ever got any money for line murder and service, because then they don't time they pay is when somebody pays their back case.
Yeah, I've never seen payment on.
But I still get 5 to 10, you get 5 or 10 a week here lately, for a guy to school ISD taxes, want us to serve. You go up, knock on the door and try to serve,
And they like, well, that was my great grandmother's place. They're just going through their history, they're finding anybody that's into them, they're wanting to serve them, because they're saying they're responsible for that case.
But the long and the short of it is time. The more time that you have, the more you have to do, the more time it takes. And so. So how does the additional help, if you have the ability to free up some time, then you can engage in, other paper service. You can engage in traffic enforcement. Judge Shin's estimate is each citation, averages $75 a citation, whether they don't pay anything and it goes to warrants, whether they take defensive driving, whether they do, deferred, or whether they outright pay it. The average is each citation, whether it's DPS or the sheriff's office or us, each citation comes to this office. The county's revenue is $75 a citation. Well, it doesn't take very long to do that. In my particular, and I'll talk about my precinct I'm most familiar with, 64 between 314 and Ben Wheeler is primarily straight, and a good portion of it is flat.
Racetrack.
I've ridden 3 that I've caught in the last month at over 100 miles an hour. One of them was a half-ton pickup truck running over 100 miles an hour. Was just a regular half-ton pickup truck. I've caught kids that had their driver's license 3 months at 110. And then you get these people that are passing through. There was a Charger here a few weeks back at 108, and the car following him was at 98.
How'd you catch them?
I had that Motorola did it. I mean, Drew Bagley with Highway Patrol was further west of me, so set up there and called him because I couldn't get turned around and get fast enough. But I had to drive almost to Canton to write him a ticket, but I did it.
I'm telling you, either Monday or Tuesday, someone paid on a credit card through our system. And it was like $4,100 on $4,200. So we were trying to figure out what case was paying or whatever. And it was all JP tickets. It was JP3 and JP4. One guy. Had all these.
$4,100 worth of tickets.
Yes.
But what happened is they get their license suspended, and now everybody's starting to have to go back to work.
Yeah.
For after COVID, people are having to go back to work, and they gotta have an active driver's license, so they gotta pay all the tickets and all these cameras.
Well, it compounds the problem. I mean, so one of the, when you come across somebody whose license is what they call invalid or ineligible, they're suspended for some reason. Well, on the first offense, you have to write them a ticket. On the second offense, after a previous conviction, it's up to our discretion whether you take them to jail or write them another ticket. Well, obviously, tickets at some point are being ineffectual. So, but you carry them to jail and then it causes an expense. But we have to have the flexibility to enforce the law to protect the public. I mean, when you have our local people using these same roads, and 314 and 64 has had another uptick in crashes down there. Just to a ridiculous amount. I have sat there at that intersection specifically to try and believe it or not, they will pull out in front of somebody and fail to yield right in front of me. And so the public safety is more from our particular standpoint, it's more than papers and bail and court. You know, we do criminal law enforcement, we do conduct investigations, we do put people in jail. And to have a proactive presence, you know, whether you're working traffic or whether you're patrolling the area, including the 2 HOAs in my precinct, Calendar Lake and Hickory Hills, which both experience issues down there, despite having security and gated communities. You know, and the response time to these places and so on is important. So these are some of the factors why we've asked for a part-time piece, or whether we end up sharing a full-time person. once we start, once we can show you that this would work from a constable standpoint, I believe that it would be something that you would be more considerate of in the future as our population continues to expand and as our workload expands.
So which would you rather have, a full-time that's split between the 4 precincts, or part-time just for yours?
It'd be 2 full-time between all 4, full-time between 2 precincts.
So two part-times, but don't get me wrong, I mean, it's not like I'm gonna say, well, it's my deputy, he only works here. No, I'm saying I've got a part-time deputy, he needs to work so on, if Jeff needs to, if Jeff's out of pocket and they need court up there, or they've got a hot paper, he can go up there and work with Jeff's court. You can go up there and help Tommy, you can go help,
That's what I'm saying, part-time Vine can go 2 and 3, part-time and Bob's can go 4 and 1. You know, 2 part-time or 1.
so my first choice would be, I have my own part-time. If we're going to, and which could potentially be more expensive, but at 24 hours a week, you're not talking about some of the expenses that are involved in having a full-time employee. Full-time employee, and I think they would probably 24 hours, they probably still collect retirement, but you don't have to provide them. Yeah, I mean, phone is laptop, but you would increase your training, or reduce your training costs with one full-time. But I'd rather see us, each, have a part-time would be the first choice. If that has to be a choice, then.
Actually, you wouldn't reduce your costs. Well,
You
you got the health insurance and benefits that you'd be paying your full-time that will more than offset the
a single.
part-time.
Yeah, I understand that, but I'm saying as far as having to provide a computer, if you had one versus 2, then you're only gonna need one computer. Yeah, I mean,
one of the radios.
one, one,
Well, I have to, my other vehicle's completely decked out too.
Yeah, my.
So I have some vehicles, he wouldn't be out of vehicle.
The one I've got is, it's got the new radio, it's decked out.
It's already-
It's a good condition car.
New radio, I got new radio on both mine. So I mean, in my, everything's completely decked out.
well, and if I get a vehicle on this coming year's budget, then I'm, which that remains to be seen. Anyway,
Okay.
we could probably go on the rest of the day, certainly talk longer than two, appreciate y'all's attention and, it is a lot to take in, and I'm glad I don't have y'all's job. I do appreciate the job y'all do, and, thanks for your time. Did y'all have any specifics on y'all's that you wanted to talk about?
Same, I think we all have the same, because.
Well, I mean,
Well, some of the extraneous.
basically, I reduced mine, so.
We've run out of time.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got another
Yeah.
presentation that we gotta get to.
That's involved, that's involved. But same here, in a while.
Well, thank y'all very much.
Thank you much.
Y'all are the ones with the handcuffs. I mean, we can talk all day if you want to. but-
Well, I didn't bring them. We'll be all right. I'm sure we can work it out.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you for being here.
I do a ringing sound there if I do it. I don't.
You go,
Who played?
that's this, that trivia stuff.
Oh, no, we didn't go. We couldn't go last time.
I think I umpire.
I would have won if I was there.
I had umpire district tournament, but.
I'm trying to catch up on the place. But I would have won if I was there.
Whatever.
That's a given.
Doesn't surprise me.
We're just smart.
He's a politician.
Yeah, that's right, there you go. You
A
heard.
lawyer calling somebody a politician. Oh, man.
They say it takes one to know one.
That's right.
She's a liar.
Hang on, just say, this is going away 30 minutes now. Yeah, somebody went buy lunch right there. There you go. I lost my remote.
Oh, no Bob can talk.
Yes. Workshop.
I had, no, it's not.
No budget, okay.
This is, part of the water, discussion on the water, commercial water. So we technically we've adjourned.
There's one second.
I think these markers, Danny, I think these markers will work on paper.
Okay.
We'll have to tell him to adjourn.
Well, I don't have an eraser of this board.
Hey, I think we've got some.
Okay.
We'll get you a wet paper towel.
We just need a wet paper. Where's Mark?
Oh, mercy.
Put it on paper and that way. We keep it, well, when you sign it, it'll be worth something, right?
Maybe it is. That's it.
You all know that there's been a big. Outcry from the public about the high pressure wells that they're wanting to drill. What county is it? Anderson County, to try to drill 21 high velocity
I read it.
wells anyway, so there's a whole lot of different opinions about that. I've asked Danny Ayers, he's
No, we can't.
gotta wait.
There's gotta be a workshop. We gotta keep it recording.
So I've asked Danny Ayers kind of come explain to us our aquifer and the impact that those wells, the drilling of those wells might have on our aquifer. So this is Danny Ayers, I'm gonna turn it over to him.
Y'all thought about it. I mean, y'all thought about it, heard about it, worried about it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, is that right?
We are.
Well, you want me to show you how that water gets here and how it moves, the hydraulics of it?
Tell me how long you've been drilling wells? How long you been drilling wells?
This is 41 years old.
41 years.
If this is the surface of the drain in Van Zandt County, and it's only in Van Zandt County. Well, let me tell you that the Wilcox Group outcrops in Van Zandt County, that's what I'm drawing. This is the Wilcox Group. This is certain. This could be 20 miles.
Okay.
Okay. When it rains, straight down, these formations and there's trees, so. If you ever tear a place up in Van Zandt County, over here where the Wilcox is, you'll see sand, maybe a little bit of gray stuff, some red stuff. You see all these different colors and formations. Every one of those are down dip. And they down dip, and a lot of them,
Heading south, they down dip.
they down dip southeast
Southeast.
at 50 feet per mile. So if you leave the outcrop, this is the Carrizo. So this is the Wilcox, this is the Carrizo. Carrizo's a different story. We have a little bit of that down southeast. The Carrizo sets on the Wilcox. And when it leaves Van Zandt County, it goes into other counties. That's why they call it a major aquifer. But in reality, in Van Zandt County, it's a minor. It's tight. It's hard to get water out of.
You don't have porosity?
No, very little porosity because everything's fine.
But it's still sand.
It's still sand.
Okay.
But the sand has got lignite mixed with it, it's got clay mixed with it, it's got mar, it's got limestone, it's got chert. It's got everything you can think of mixed with it.
And that's different than the Wilcox.
That is the Wilcox.
Oh,
That's the
that's the
characteristics of the Wilcox, no matter where you go. All the way till it goes underwater in the Gulf of Mexico. But what's different is that when you get to the southeast part of the county, the Carrizo's setting on it. You get down a little further, they start calling it the Carrizo Wilcox. Because that Carrizo, now the Carrizo is a different critter altogether. It's got some massive, clean, large sands in it. The city of Tyler drilled a 900-foot Carrizo well right beside the airport, makes about 1,400 gallons a minute. Okay, you'll never see that happen in the world. But what happens is as the Wilcox gets further southeast, it gets deeper. Okay, up here it's just outcrop, it's getting its water here from rainfall. But as it gets down there, it gets deeper and it actually even gets a little bigger. Because the reason why it is what it is, this used to be, this is water laying this stuff down. You know, the good Lord made all this happen, but it happened a long time ago. And it's the tide coming in and out, and it's during a period of time where there was some pretty bad weather. That's why there's all this, that lignite, that's timber. That's timber that's just been covered up over time, you know. You can, when you drill through the Wilcox, you say, my word, there must have been bad stuff going on. Cause I mean, you cut 80 foot of lignite, and think, oh gosh, that much timber was talking
Back
about.
up, wasn't
It may be 1,000 feet, you think. Golly. But that's what happened, and that's how come it's where it is. And then you have these more calmer periods of time, and you can get online. I mean, it takes you a long time to figure all this out. It did me, but you can work through this and get a good understanding of what was going on and what we're dealing with today. But the Wilcox, the best water wells that you can look at the Texas Water Development Report 169. D.E. White wrote it in 1973. He's a brilliant hydrogeologist, worked for the state. You ought to hear what he says about the Wilcox. I mean, he calls things actually how I see them, mud, stone, mar, and all. He tells you it's not a major aquifer. It's pretty puny here, but this is where it starts. And he wrote a report on Van Zandt County and Ryan. So those two reports are together, and they're both counties have the same. The initial startup of the Wilcox. But anyway, get back to this stuff down this at a rate of 50 feet per mile going southeast. And it's not very good stuff anyway, and it's mixed up. There's a lot of different things in it, and it's hard to get water out of. But the best water wells that you'll find in that report were for the city of Grand Saline, Morton, Salt, and City Service. They had at one time some 500 gallon a minute wells, but they pumped them and created tones of depression and I'm gonna tell you why they had them, but you can't get water like that out of the ground over there no more. You know, they're doing good to get 253. And you can call the city and find that out.
And why did that happen? Why have that, why
Well,
that
the
decreased?
city of Grand Saline, just a little bit dragging their feet on new water wells and spreading them out, and just different things, you know.
And so they drew too hard and it caused the formation.
When
to
you
collapse.
pump a water well too hard, you're gonna hurt it.
And
all of them.
And what happens is that the sand, all the particles around it cave in on it, and then they bunch it up, and you can't pull water.
Common sense. That's right, because you got the buoyancy factor kicked in when you got an aquifer full of water. Draw it down and create a cone of depression, and that stuff will move and tighten up. And then you know that. I mean, you've already said, I know you understand this.
But, anyway, to think for a minute. When I had been in business for probably about 15 years, maybe a little longer. I get a packet from the city of Dallas, it's a letter, the mayor addressed. Hunting. You know, city of Dallas, you got some pretty smart people. They thinking, the more people we get to bid on this, the better deal we might get, let's work each water well drillers like cow dogs. I know, they're smart people up there. They got a good engineers, the army does work for them, they're smart. They had probably 60 water wells, and if they had a water well that pumped 500 gallons a minute, they didn't want to turn it on. They have water wells,
Mhm.
In Dallas.
in Dallas. 5,000 feet, pumping 5,000 gallons a minute straight up, 2,000 horse line shaft turbines. Cost millions and millions of dollars to drill in the 40s, J.L. Myers Lane, Malone Lane, back when he was running the company. They drilled those wells in Dallas. I mean, they had water wells. And the Trinity is definitely a major aquifer. There's a lot of water there, especially the lower Trinity. And that's gonna make some deep wells. It just won't pay. It costs too much. The letter I got was plugging them, pulling them, plugging them, banding them, through bonds and then engineering company, So to think for a minute that the city of Dallas is fixing it even down there, and mind you, they have a water district that now imposes taxes on its citizens and tells them what they can and can't do. That'd go over like a hole here. And then they want to charge you for the water, and all this water district's sole selling picture was is, well, we're gonna protect your water and everything, but yet they get this little deal going down there, and then how does it get up here? It probably came up here intentionally, trying to get this county to join that water district.
So what happens if they do drill the 21
Well-
well, is it 21 wells that they want to drill
Let
into
me tell you.
pretty much of the Carrizo, it's the Carrizo that they're drilling into, right?
I don't know, probably.
You said it's a bigger aquifer than the.
Well,
they're
no,
going
they
together.
call it the Carrizo Wilcox. I was just telling you that to tell you this. There ain't no Carrizo Wilcox in Van Zandt County. We have the Wilcox and the Carrizo because there's very little of it in Van Zandt County.
Anderson County has the Carrizo parks.
Yeah. If you can tell by looking at these reports that these hydrogeologists that wrote us, some of them I knew, wrote these reports, and when they start calling it the Carrizo Wilcox, I mean, they have a good foundation for saying what they're saying. They understand what's going on underground, but we don't have that.
So hypothetically, if they get permitted to drill those wells, what effect will that have on our water table?
Nothing. It because hydraulically, this water moves 3 to 5 feet a year. I mean, if I'm gonna tell you something, I don't think enough people understand. But let's say that from right here to here, and here's the courthouse. Right here, you drill down right here, about 580, you put completely through the groove. Now you're into the midway. Okay, we'll say that's 580 feet. Okay. And we're gonna say this is where they're gonna drill the well. They drill this well. And let's say they go all the way to the bottom. Now they go, let's just say the courthouse has got a 580 foot.
Just for our purposes here, Would that well, which county are you saying that well probably would?
This is down there where he's talking.
Okay, this is an
I'm just
Anderson, this,
hypothetical.
yeah, this hypotheticals, that would be Anderson,
Yeah, that's,
okay,
that's 50 miles here.
or more, whatever,
Yeah,
whatever.
okay. And so here we drill this well, here's this water. It already took it nearly 13,000 years to get here. Okay. So here they are, they drill these wells in a line across that thing. And if they're like, even the city can't, I mean, you go over here and tell them, don't pump these wells. You know, you're gonna mess them up, well. They'll run them around the clock. They get down here and they do this in a straight enough line. And tighten all this stuff up, they'll make the water start coming up.
Because it collapses downstream.
Yeah, they'll stop the flow. Of course, that might be 175,000 years from now, but you see what I'm saying?
What about downstream from?
Downstream, they'll hurt them because now it's having to go around these bad areas, you know.
And it may not have porosity to do that.
Well, now that Carrizo's harder to do that too than Wilcox, but it will do it. Because Carrizo's quite a bit cleaner, coarser.
Oh, is it, of course,
Oh, yeah, that's,
I know we got a lot of sugar sand around here, that's for sure.
yeah.
Surface.
But you know, when you start going southeast and you start seeing that really, them big beds of big sand, you're walking on Carrizo. Cause
So-
it has outcrops too.
So you,
It rains, charges it up.
so you're saying it's not gonna, luckily, it's not gonna affect us here, but if those wells are drilled down there at 21 and they're gonna pump them, like you were talking about earlier, are they not gonna, what we call collapse or cave? I mean,
All of depression.
yeah, they come to depression.
What a cone.
How are those wells gonna just keep, I mean, how can it
Well, it
sustain
just
itself?
depends on how smart they are, you know?
Yeah,
And they don't have, they're, in my mind, they're coming off to me as being not too bright because look at the cost of this. I'm gonna tell you, I doubt very seriously Dallas is even involved in this. You know, the Sabine River Authority sells the city of Dallas water so cheap, it ain't even funny.
I've heard Dallas, Houston, Austin, and San Antonio. I've heard it's everywhere. They want to try to get it everywhere.
Well, this same aquifer that's in Dallas. Further south becomes called the Edwards. Okay, same thing.
and that runs under a big part of Texas.
Well, it's outcropping in that desert. And it's bigger sand, it's kind of like that breeze, so it's got a little bit different characteristics. It's all laid down at the same time. That was the shoreline for the Gulf of Mexico or whatever you want to call it, whatever was there. And you know, it's the same, it's all connected, it all runs together. And
So as a citizen, we're all citizens here. Would you be worried for Van Zandt County about this?
absolutely not.
And what do you think, what is your view on what they're doing? Do you,
Well, I got my opinion about people's rights and water. The Texas Constitution says that when you buy land, you own the water rights. And I know that, you know, look at it. Bethel Ash, I drill wells for Bethel Ash, Bright Star Salem, Ben Wheeler. I mean, that's what I did. I drilled a lot of municipal wells. I did a lot of drilling in Dallas. Deep, I mean, big, deep stuff. But really, how do I feel about it? I feel that if anybody needs to pay for water, it ought to be people like the city of Kent. I think if there was ever a water district and we're gonna charge somebody for water, we should charge people that are trying to make money with it and leave the farmer and the residents alone because. But actually, the way our constitution's written, they have a right, I mean, I drilled Bethel Ash a water well that I pumped at 750 gallons a minute, but. You know, I made it clear to them, they need to pump it at about 300 and it needed to have brakes and those people listen. Jerry Fontaine was their engineer, he backed everything up, they run it right. City of Canton turn them on because, you know, I guess the water treatment plant, they don't like to deal with it and stuff like that. And they've already hurt 2 of the water wells, I know for a fact, but
Do you think Van Zandt County should be part of a water district?
no,
No.
no.
Which-
I think
which-
we need to get rid of things instead of adding.
Yeah, less regulation. Tell me your name.
And
Danny,
the heirs.
Danny Ayers.
yeah. But, you know, you can't hurt it. You drill a water well in the Wilcox, you can't hurt it. You're really not gonna hurt the aquifer unless you're gonna hurt yourself by hurting it.
See, I was relating this to the Ogallala. My in-laws are farmers.
That's a whole different career.
Yeah, it'd be a whole different career, but you know, it's a big aquifer. You had all these farmers drilling these wells to irrigate their crops,
Yeah,
and now that thing's going dry.
it's.
And I didn't want the same thing to happen to us, where these 21 people come down here, drill this, you know, we'll eventually go dry to where we don't have water. And how are they gonna supply?
Yes, and perhaps some have.
There's a quite a bit of difference between these people drilling those wells. Go to, Hanford County or something like that. Sections, you know, I worked up there, I was a cowboy on a feedlot. And every square mile, there's a dirt road.
Mhm.
Every one of those square miles in every corner is a water well with a line shaft turbine. And, back when I was there, there's old 6-cylinder propane driven Moline engines driving. And I mean, if you lived out there, you learned to go to bed to the sound of them Molines running all night. But whole different deal there. I mean, every square mile, 1,000-gallon a minute well running on, you know, at least 2, sometimes 4.
So in my mind, like when I'm trying to solve a problem, I don't want to create another problem solving one problem. You understand what I'm saying?
Well, usually you do.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Well, not me personally, but anyways.
No, I got to speak for you.
My wife is not here. So anyway, so, you know, we're talking about signing a resolution, you know, on this water, on these water wells. But should a resolution say we're opposed to commercially pumping the aquifer? I mean, like.
I think Van Zandt County needs to stay out of their business. Y'all got enough problems.
Man,
You can either believe what I'm telling you. Cause I've told you the truth. And if you got some doubt, you can do some research yourself. And you can even talk to a hydrogeologist. But you're gonna find out that if you read that report, you'll find it out because the guy's clearly points that out. I'm just kind of supercharging it, you know, a little bit. Because he's right, the Mr. White that wrote that thing was smart, yeah.
You wrote that
And,
down.
But do you think those wells will affect the people downstream of it?
well, it's according on how they pump, you know.
So if they regulate their pumping of it, might not hurt them too bad.
The city of Tyler's good at pumping water. They understand, you know. They understand the city of Tyler is probably better at pumping well water than anybody around here. You know, and they understand all these things. And they've had some really jam up smart engineers. And hydrogeologists that actually drew a check, from them and, the city of Tyler can pump water in a pretty good way. They got a lake too. And I don't know what all there were. I've been out of touch with that for about 5 years now with them. But, uh, I really, I just think, this is what I think's going on. I think the deal down in Cherokee County or wherever it is more about scaring y'all and upsetting this county into joining up with them than it's about anything to do with water, really. There's some stuff going on there that probably ain't too bad to put the burden of fear on us over their problem. They got a district, they formed a district in the name of preventing this kind of thing. But yet they want to bring that up to y'all's attention and it's happening down.
So my fear for the future of this county is we're not there yet, but we're gonna get there. We all may be dead when it gets here, but Dallas is coming this way. I mean, it's obvious, and we're gonna have a whole lot of people in here. Is this gonna affect?
Well, it might be one less because it's just about got the point where I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
So,
but just how, when this county when Canton becomes Terrell and Wills Point becomes Forney, and you have all this influx of people, how are we setting this county water wise? Are we going to be able to sustain that?
as far as these little house
those
wells
wells
out
going
in
to
the
affect
country,
it?
the little house wells out in the country, you can't hurt it. Can't hurt it.
And these wells won't affect that with the influx. Those wells getting
If
drilled.
those people aren't careful, they'll help us.
You gotta remember, it's the cities that are getting an influx of people. The other ones are gonna need the water.
Yeah, but it still
That's
comes from
right.
the same source.
But his point is this, and this is what I was gonna say earlier, is this isn't a bowl of water that's just limited. It's not a bowl of water, and the more straws you put down, the more you pull out, the lower it'll get. What he's saying is, every time it rains, that Wilcox
Absolutely.
begins to recharge, and
The
the
overload.
water that's going down, and
That's right.
and so it's not, we're not, there's not a limited pool down
Right.
here. It's the Wilcox through the rain recharges, and so our usage doesn't impact what the Wilcox.
We're getting
is.
refilled all the
That's
time.
why,
Every time it rains.
yeah, that's why the water company, Ozarka, down there, just south of where I am, they've been pulling that water out of this for decades, and that water table hasn't changed. It's because it recharges to Wilcox.
Yeah, it's just like,
So didn't Ozarka try to come into Van County?
Huh?
Didn't Ozarka try to come to Van
They're right, they're in Henderson County, but they're right there on 1651.
Yep, Manson Wood.
I mean, not 1651, it's yeah.
Hey, in Ozarka's defense, if you even interested in that. I mean, there's an argument there. There was a big deal about Ozarka. I mean, there was some people really got.
They had signs out,
Oh,
Ozarka, get out.
it's the
you
darkest
have to-
thing
yeah,
I've ever seen.
Same thing that's happened here. I mean, everybody panics, including me. I'm gonna include myself in that. I'm like, whoa,
I know, but it's understandable too. But think about this, Ozarka, every drop of water, Ozarka pumps.
That's right.
Bottles. It's drinking water. Weigh that against some of us dingbats that are out here watering their grass, Do you have much of a case there? I mean. If we like to water our grass, if we like to, he's got a garden, I bet if he had 100 gallons.
I had my garden 2 weeks ago, do that garden in.
And you know, you start getting into things like that. And, you know, you see what I'm saying? I mean, Ozarka, at least Ozarka's bottling it, never drop of
So how
it.
does that water district affect those people in the water district? Do,
Oh.
do they regulate their wells? Like your
Yeah.
like your personal well would be regulated?
I can't believe they went for that, but,
So how do they regulate your personal well? Do they put a meter?
well, this is the way it works over there. I don't even drill up there. Oh, well, we'll let us check into this. We'll see if, you know, we'll write you permit, drill a water well. And these people don't know nothing about nothing. I mean, they're just, they don't know nothing about water wells or what's going on. Okay, we're gonna let you have a permit. You can pump 12 gallons a minute, but if you pump 13 or more, we're gonna put a meter, you're gonna put a meter on it,
So they
and you're gonna need to pay us.
so they regulate that by the size of the pump? Is that what they do? Or?
Well, I guess they go out and check it, you know. But it ain't right. It's not right. And it's hurting their economy, you know. All this stuff to, well, you gotta do this, there's a fee for that too. And, you know, a tax, whatever you wanna call it, I call it tax, because that's what it really is. And you got people don't know nothing about water telling you what you can and can't do, but you gotta pay for it. It's on your land. And even if they got a meter, you gotta come up with that.
We don't want that.
We don't want that. And and I'm not saying we don't want that so bad that we're gonna sacrifice something. It's the truth. You can't hurt it. You're not gonna hurt the well cost. You're not gonna pump it dry. It won't give it.
Because of the way it's
It
made.
just will not give it to you.
That's the way it's made. You can't.
It's the way it's made. It just, you can't hurt it. You can start drilling water wells and you can hurt it. And then it's gonna lose production.
And then you have to.
And there you are, you know.
If
If you're wanting to regulate water, just let them do whatever they want to. Some of them are regulating it on their own.
self-regulate.
They're paying for it, don't even know it. That's the truth. I'm telling you. And if you're keeping the minutes, hang on to them because that's the truth, and it'll go down in history as being the truth.
Sure, good to hear from you today, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Very
y'all
much.
want to argue
Appreciate
about some stuff, I could really get my rolling.
Don't get you started.
Go ahead.
Yeah, tell us about Mitch.
Who?
What do you know about Mitch?
What do you, well, what do you, I don't really know a whole lot about him.
I didn't know which, I didn't, that's the first time I think I've seen him face to face. They chewed me out the other day. About an hour.
We don't talk about something like we talk about Mitch.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's our guy. You know, I didn't vote for him. But, well, I did.
I've known
I
Danny
voted.
for about 35 years. I've known you since Comet Printing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, y'all used to do my cars and stuff. Oh, what's his name?
Doug
Doug,
McBurry.
Doug.
Dub
I
Curry.
drove Doug well.
Yeah, you did ours.
I called
That-
Danny I called Danny, I was thinking about buying some property in Van. And I don't know what you were doing when I called you and I said, this is where I'm at. Is there water down here? And he said, yeah, about 225 feet or something. He told me how many gallons he got over there at Tommy's Stories. And I'm like, when did you drill that? And he said, about 5 years ago. You just give it to me like it happened yesterday. And I said, well.
I can't do that hardly.
And I said, well, and he said, well, that water where you're at may not be good. We'll have to, I said, well, how do I find out if it's good? And you said, I think you had, I said, well, you put about $5,000 in my hand and I'll drill you a hole and you can send some off. Thank you.
Well, that is the truth.
That's what you told me. It might have been a little bit
It
more
ain't
than
the
that.
nicest thing you heard, but it's the truth.
I appreciate you coming up here today.
You bet.
You know, we make a lot of decisions without ever having all the perspectives and it's good for us. To
Yeah,
slow
we
down
need to
sometimes.
just let them do whatever they wanna do. They're hot shots and know what, you know, we loaned them the money to build a courthouse. So they ain't above us. They come up here whining and we give them the money and made interest.
Who gave them the money?
Van Zandt County, my grandpa was county commissioner here when that happened. Yeah, Long Henderson County, the money to build the port. at.
We get along good with the historical society around here, wasn't it?
I'm a member of that. I mean, not the historical, but the genealogy thing, there's a lot of it in there. No, that's the
What was
truth.
your grandfather's name?
Daniel Jackson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming up here.
Oh, you bet.
Thank you, Danny.
You bet.
We're
Y'all take care.
We're
That's-
adjourned.
Are we adjourned?
We are adjourned.
Thank you, sir.
We have had our educational
Good. All right.
training for the day. And this is related to the budget too.
Who knows what's going on?
Hey.
There. Below us.